Hello and welcome to the National Esports Combine. My name is Dan Marino, here with Eddie, Generalist Biped, or I guess Dan Bort Marino. We're here live from the Robert Bell Building on Ball State's campus, bringing you the Esports Combine tonight. We've got a slate of some great Valorant matches with some great high school teams. How are you doing today, Eddie?
I'm doing good. I'm super excited. This is a fantastic opportunity for some high school players to get to show off their skills to some college recruiters, and so it'll be a fantastic time getting to watch them showcase their skills, abilities, as well as their strategies, their team play. It should be a fun time.
Yeah, I'm really excited to get to see some Valorant. It's been a minute for us, here on Ball State's campus, really
Yeah.
only focusing on Overwatch and League of Legends. We haven't really gotten to do a lot of Valorant, so I'm really excited to get into some games. This first matchup is Indiana Digital Learning School versus Fishers High School. So two Indiana-based high schools, actually, in our first match of the day, and I think that's very fitting, given that we're an Indiana State institution here. So I'm really excited to get to see what these teams are able to do. Focusing on what we do at the collegiate level, it'll be really interesting to see how similar or different it is at the high school level. But like you said, I think it's going to be an awesome time for these high school students to get out there and get noticed. Sometimes it can be so hard to get your name out there in college esports, to find a school to recruit you and maybe even get a scholarship out of this. We know we're going to have a bunch of college coaches watching today. So these students are going to be able to put on a good show and then hopefully make a collegiate career out of it. But we're only a few minutes away here from the actual start of the match. We have all the players in the lobby, just getting map selected, and then we'll be able to hop right in. But the whole combine itself actually starts next week. To give you a little bit more context and information, it's going to be an event held in downtown Indianapolis at the fairgrounds, and it'll be a chance for even more interaction between high schools and college esports programs, where students can come and learn about college programs, hear some panels, maybe even watch these games live, or some other showcase matches happening on the fairgrounds themselves. So it's really cool to finally have an in-person LAN event for high school esports recruitment.
It really is. I mean, you never really know somebody's true skill until you see them on LAN with no ping. It showcases some fantastic plays that people are able to make in that scenario, and also allows for some solid getting to know people who are in the scene and getting to know those coaches personally, and understanding what kind of a team you want to play on, and all of that. So it is a fantastic opportunity, and I'm excited for these high school players to get to partake in that.
Me too. And what you said, getting to actually put a face to the name and meet college coaches, and those coaches being able to meet the students is a world of difference, because you can see a player do something in game, but until you really meet them, really see what their personality, their work ethic, the kind of culture they'll bring into your program, that to us is the most important thing when we bring a student into our varsity program, is to see if it'll be a cultural fit, regardless of skill. So it's just a great opportunity to make those connections, and at the very least, learn more about what's going on in college esports and in high school esports. But yeah, so today we'll be running a few hours, I believe. We'll be covering all four teams that are registered for this showcase event. And then, like we said, it's a great chance to get to put out, some skills, some even for underclassmen, to get your name out there early. That's got to be a huge deal. Obviously, seniors are still deciding on colleges, a lot of them. So, this is kind of that final stretch. But if you're an underclassman, if you're a sophomore, this could be huge. You could set up, a whole network of colleges that you can take your time and kind of evaluate and learn more about.
Exactly. Having time to prepare for that big decision, moving on in life, and having an instant community with these esports groups. It is fantastic having a team that you can already join, and it makes that college experience a lot easier as well. So it is just a fantastic opportunity, and it appears as if we're seeing a couple of bans come out. We see specifically Bind, and I believe Split as well has been banned out, which are some fantastic maps. I'm a little disappointed we won't get to see Bind or Split, but still a solid map pool, so we'll see what they decide to play. And the Breeze ban is going to come out as well, so they're not going to be playing on that map either. A solid map with lots of long sight lines is not going to get played for now. We'll see what ends up. We'll see
Mm-hmm.
what ends up being the final map. This is, it's an interesting start to how these players want to play
Right.
this game. Is
It
what
sets up
maps
the
they decide to
entire
play.
game. Obviously, for those at home that don't know, each map in this game, Valorant, sets up different. Like you were saying, Eddie, has different pros and cons. So some much more
Yeah.
compact for close quarters combat. Some, those longer sight lines that allow, bigger long range plays. That
Yeah.
so, picking the map is crucial. And another reminder to those at home watching. These are all best of ones, so it's really important that you get a good map that your team is comfortable on, since you don't have a whole series to try to muster a win. It's win or lose, best of one. Each team will play in a round robin format, so each team actually will get the chance to square off against each opponent. But you need to have a good map. If you're on a map that you might be weaker on, could be a setup for disaster.
It really could, and the map that does get picked, I believe, is going to be Ascent, which is a fantastic map. It's a pretty traditional map. We talked a little bit about how some maps have longer sight lines and allow for a lot longer distance play. You're going to be using those sniper rifles like the Operator or maybe even the Marshal, going for those long distance plays. But Ascent is a little bit closer quarters. It has some smaller areas, but it does have this long mid lane area, this area in the middle of the map that has this extremely long sight line. So we'll see how these players decide to play around that area, and if they decide to take those shorter angles, those angles that are better suited to the Spectre, quicker gun, and the judges, the shotguns.
Those are always so exciting to see because it's so quick. Like, I'm just excited to really get to see the team play because, oftentimes, in ladder or in even some amateur settings, you can tell when a team isn't organized. And these teams, at the top of their game, they practice together often, and they're really trying to, get their names out there. So I think we're going to see some really crisp team play, regardless of the map. I'm going to rely on you a lot for what we could see on Ascent, but I'm really hoping to see some coordinated team efforts because that's what makes this game so much fun to watch and can really make it almost artistic in a way. The timings that each team needs to take in order to, set up and take a site or retake that site if you're on defense. Looks like we are going to load in to Ascent here. I believe Fishers will be on the attack. We'll have that confirmed in just a moment. Or Fishers might be on the defense here. But as we go in, we are seeing some agents being hovered and locked in. Eddie, can you give us a little bit of a breakdown on what we might see on Ascent when it comes to compositions?
Yeah, Ascent can be a pretty aggressive map. I've seen a lot of potential on this map for many different character picks. I'm surprised, though, from the defending side, we aren't getting any sort of chamber, but instead going for that Killjoy. The Killjoy can lock down a site utilizing a turret that she has, as well as some bots that are essentially little alarms to tell you that somebody is there. And so Killjoy can really lock down a site all on her own. And so it's a smart play here for Ascent, which can be difficult to rotate on. And so you want to make sure that you have priority on that site. And from the attacker side, we've only seen the Omen get locked in, which is a good character. Provides smokes, which deny vision and information. And so could be helpful. Also has a long-range teleport.
Select your agent.
Anywhere on the map if he has his ultimate, which can certainly impact the game if beamed in 4K is going to utilize that well. And we're seeing a lot of other hovers. We'll see what gets locked in. Of course, a jet on both sides, I believe, is going to be played.
It's almost necessary to have that mirror jet matchup.
Exactly. Jet is such a strong character, has such good mobility, and allows you to take sight lines extremely safely that other characters wouldn't really have that ability to. I like on the attacker side, we do have a Jet and a Reyna, which is a fantastic double duelist composition. And they're opting, instead of a Killjoy, going for a Cypher, which similarly has a lot of utility that can lock down a site all on his own. And so we'll see how that comes into play. We'll see how these players decide to play around that.
So for those at home, as we get here onto Ascent, we will have Indiana Digital Learning Schools on the defense, Fishers on the attack. After we complete 12 rounds, regardless of the score, we'll flip sides, and Fishers will be on the defense, and INDLS will switch to the attack. Now, on Ascent, which side do you want to start on?
Ascent is a really interesting map. It can be pretty even for both sides, but if you're on the attack, you have a lot of potential to sort of dictate where you want to play. So some, depending on how your team likes to play, if you want to get that lead early, you're going to want to start on the attacker's side. But if you're not too worried about that, if you think maybe give that up and you get a stronger second half,
our spike's down. Spike down, B.
Getting a quick kill with that turn right away in the game. Already, the defensive side is looking pretty strong.
Last player standing.
Most likely going away. Oh, a solid few kills from Yef.
That was a nice turnaround. I really thought that was going to go the side of the defenders through and through, but Yef able to bring it a little bit closer. You know, coming out, it looks like we did see a heavier defense there on the B side.
I should play some Astro Stars in this reality.
A little bit more typically, I guess, you know, Eddie, can you talk to us a little bit about this attacking strategy that we're seeing? It looks like we're seeing a lot of stacking on the side of Fishers here. To just kind of brute force potentially the site. Looks like as they are getting set up, maybe to push A here.
Exactly. They're probably looking to push quickly, gain control of the site, and get the spike down as soon as possible. That sort of pressures the defensive side, makes the rounds a little bit shorter and a little bit scarier. But they're going to have to push slow. They want to make sure that they get 1 or 2 kills. They move into the spike. Willie McGuire does not care. Moves too quickly. He's going to fall
spike down A.
Nice kill. Now we're sitting at 5v.
Last player standing.
Attackers want to be. The Cypher is the only one that's left. We saw Yef get a couple of nice kills early on.
Flawless.
Ball. Digital Learning School. And the next few rounds in their pocket already.
And it's so important to get those first rounds. Pistol rounds, obviously, you know, sets up a really, you know, I guess a high probability that you'll win that second round, so you'll actually be able to have a decent enough economy to buy. But now we're starting to see, we're going into that round 3, seeing a little bit of difference in the loadouts here, as INDL is still opting mostly with those Spectres, but we're seeing some more rifles on the side of Fishers, so this might be their chance, right, to get one on the board.
This is traditionally how a rounds will go.
Spike down B.
Now, these attackers have some solid rifles and they are going to do damage.
Spike planted.
Fire falls. Taps moving onto site is going to try and find someone here. Spraying through the wall. Taps wants to find something. Plenty of
one enemy remaining.
The Sage who does fall to Coke.
Looks like this is going to be the last effort here on the side of Fishers as INDLS goes clean out Yef on point here. Defenders taking a 3-0, and now Fishers, you know, back to the drawing board. Economy with a bit of a reset, so they're going to have to take a round or 2 here really to get back into things, as INDLS is really going to be able to push it now because they're really starting to separate. As you can see with those credits, it's starting to look a little rich on the side of INDLS.
I do like seeing that Marshall picked up for Pyfie though. Potentially taking a mid-sight line, wants to gain control because honestly, the middle of this map is a lot of pressure. So if you take control of it quickly, you're gonna have a miss. You want to hold that angle just a little bit longer, especially if you're initially peeking. Asuna, Asuna is in an awkward position. He's gonna have to find a way to flash out here. Bird, we'll see if this helps her out any, but no, 2 quick kills are going to the side of Fishers. We'll see if they're able to make anything off this. They have, again, a lot of pressure because they're in mid. They can choose whichever side they want to move towards.
Still in sight.
That advantage being picked up is going to help them so much. Already getting a lot of money and credits out of this.
INDLS is sort of at a huge disadvantage now with only 1 on point, and the Jets covering A for a potential rotation. It looks like it might be a little bit slow on
I know
that,
exactly where
retake.
they are.
Fishers now in complete control of this point. INDLS now having to scramble out of
Healing.
oh, I got Spawn here to retake site, and it's gonna be a challenge.
Yeah, the stage wall does fall though. See how they retake it.
One enemy
Just Light
remaining.
Hose with so many kills. 4 kills for this round is gonna secure another 4 Indiana Digital Learning School. A solid spray.
It is over.
Taking them all down.
What an incredible turnaround there for INDLS. You know, I'm sorry I questioned the rotation there, because clearly they didn't need the Jet on site. The Sova was just able to quickly clean up, getting, like you said, that 4-piece. That's huge, because now, yet again, it just puts Fishers even further behind here. You know, INDLS could afford to lose a round or two and really not drop down that far in economy, still be able to make all of the purchases they need in order to make each round competitive. And that's where things can get really snowbally. If you're Fishers, you really want to capitalize here, force them to spend some credits. And it looks like we're going to break away a little bit from previous Fishers strategy. And I sort of it does look like they're going to set up for an A-site take. And this seems to be sort of their MO to instead of playing a default where they spread the map, they typically like to stack here, and it really hasn't worked too well. Albeit they're taking this one a little bit slower, a little bit more cautiously.
Exactly, which is the smart play. You want to try and secure a couple of kills before you decide which site to move up on. Let's see how they play those. Finding Bully McGuire, beamed in 4K. See if they decide to push it. They're gonna keep
One enemy remaining.
Spike
Spike down A.
You know that your teammate fell down.
Can't res
Third
yourself?
headshot. Tabs is looking clean on this Jet. Has the knives ready for the next round. The thing I want to highlight in terms of team composition, Indiana Digital Learning School has decided to opt for Astra here. And Astra is a fantastic, not sentinel, but controller who can place these little stars all across the map and then turn them into smoke.
Placing swarm
Provide
grenade.
a ton of utility
Placing swarm
for their
grenade.
team. It's an incredibly smart pickup, but a bit of a difficult character to play because if you do want to place those stars, you're putting yourself in a disadvantageous position. You can't see what's happening in front of you. You can be caught off guard.
Cutting their vision.
Throughout this game, we are going to see Fishers moving quickly onto the site. They want to try and take something, but back up here, moving out of garage, heading back towards
Getting
mid.
sight.
Be careful. They know that they're going to beat Asuna here, but they also know that they've beaten Asuna earlier rounds. Taps has a
Spike
solid
down,
angle.
mid.
The Astro wall does come down. It's going to be dangerous to push through,
Night.
especially right into Taps. Who's going to get a solid kill. Push here.
I got the spike.
Spike is dropped and picked up, but Taps is not phased.
This is Taps has just been
Last
doing
player standing.
such an incredible job here for INDLS as they complete another 4K here. INDLS just rolling right now with 6 straight round wins. You know, Eddie, what would you say if you're Fishers here? What can you do maybe to kind of break this momentum and pick up a round? Because, you know, at this point you really have to start hoping that you can get some, at least a round or two here before the sides swap. Once the sides do swap, you know, you do get that full economy reset, but, you know, you don't want to be playing with fire that late into the match here.
Well, something I do have to say is just looking at Fisher's buy, they do have 2 rifles online, but the rest of the players are sitting with pistols, which is potentially a dangerous idea, because if you lose these rifles, that's a lot of money lost, and you're stuck in an awkward position nearby where part of your team has these solid guns, but the other half doesn't. And you're also going to want to start,
Down
so
A.
many falling. You're going to want to start utilizing the Reyna blinds in order to push out of these smokes. They keep pushing right out of these smokes and into Taps' crosshair.
One
Simply
enemy remaining.
hitting them in the head as beamed in 4K falls. They know that they only need one more, and it is an awkward position for Cypher to be in. Yef has to do something here, potentially just waiting it out, but will eventually get pushed on as we near the end of this round. Sitting with simply a classic.
At some point, you just do need to hopefully try to take one of INDLS out, and he's not able to. Yef goes down here, makes it a flawless for the side of INDLS. So they pick up their 7th straight win on this defensive side here. And, you know, Eddie, you're right. It's kind of, you know, smokes go down, team comes out. It's a formula that INDLS is able to read almost immediately. So, you know, maybe playing with that utility a little bit more to, you know, gather some information, some setups, because obviously, you know, this game is very rewarding mechanically, but if you're able to play that mental game and get that information, you can make good decisions, get on the point, and then maybe you know, we'll see Fishers hopefully change something up and then get on the board here as we head into this 8th round.
Exactly, and I'd like to point out, I mean, you're throwing out these rain of flashes, but they're just at the wrong time, and the spacing is a little awkward, but Taps does fall, and Bully Maguire gets 2. The site is now theirs. This is their opportunity to take the first round as 5 Feet gets resurrected. We're sitting in a 5v3. Killjoy, Sova, and Sky. Sky is the only one who can really have an easy time pushing up onto this point, but with the ultimate coming through, Lighthose picks up 1. See if they're able to secure anything else. Asuna taking over Heaven, and Killjoy moving around to the other side, sitting near the tree area. Oh, and 2 fall before Risk Asuna does as well. Might be able to secure. Not quite. Lighthose and Armstrong gets a nice clean kill, and that's going to be 8 rounds for Indiana Digital Learning School.
Man, it's you know, getting tough, but like we are seeing some improvements from Fishers round after round. You know, getting those 2 quick picks, I guess, you know, rushing the point even faster seemed to have worked a little bit there, because they were able to lock down the point pretty quickly with 2 or 3 picks almost right away. But then just on the retake, it can be so difficult to cover all of those angles, especially as INDLS sort of approach them all in unison. How do you defend all of that, all of the angles, all of the sightlines? You just realistically can't. And Fishers, you know, paid the price as INDLS. Their teamwork and their ability to just, again, work in sync is just a little unmatched right now.
Really is. When Ultimate, however, going to come online. Let's see if that teleport is able to do anything here. Or nothing is found. Jag going to be moving on to site, does fall. That's a waste of the knives, and so far 2 have fallen. The Cypher not able to pick up anything. They're just all going down. Another flawless. Indiana Digital Learning School is proving to be online right now, just as their name suggests.
And that's a great point here. They're just able to, they're just getting the picks when they need them, where it's almost, Fishers just really needs to, I think, get a little bit more creative in their approaches. Eddie, something that you hit on at the start of this map, and even in a few earlier rounds, is that mid control. Not really seeing a lot of action in mid. It's mostly those entry chokes that we're seeing a lot, where most of the gameplay is taking place. And I think we need to diversify a little bit here and really pressure that mid, because right now, INDLS just knows where Fisher is going to approach from, as we do see Bully Maguire go down almost immediately. It's going to be tough if you can't change up kind of your gameplay here.
It really is going to be difficult. Habs just trying to clean up this mid area. It is hard to take control of that when you do have such a power player simply clicking your heads as soon as you move out into it. Taps is such a devastating and oppressive force in this game. Getting already, I believe, 3 kills near mid.
Maybe you can't actually get mid control when Taps is kind of locking down all of those sight lines there. So when one player is just able to, you know, really position themselves and make the shots they need to, it can be so difficult.
And we see Tabs trying to push out here. He's going to find beamed in 4K and a 4K for Tabs. And he's going to secure that round. We're sitting at 10-0.
That's got to be Taps' second or third round with 4 eliminations. They need to let Taps get the penta, get the ace. I think it's a little disrespectful here from the INDLS team to just hold their teammate back like that and not give them the chance to really get that 5K. But we are getting to the halfway point, entering round 11 here. So after round 12, sides will swap, economy will be reset. It does seem like INDLS, even should they drop a round, will have the credits to be able to stay competitive. Fisher's really just looking to get a couple rounds here, as Pyfy does go down, and Fisher's at another disadvantage.
They're in an awkward position, but they do want to continue pushing onto this site. However, with Sky there, is going to get a solid concussion. Takes out Yef.
Spike down B.
Using the flash, going to go in for another.
One enemy
And
remaining.
so far, only one has fallen from the defensive side. Bully McGuire, the last one alive, is going to try and find something here. Finds Taps in mid, but doesn't secure the kill just yet, and gets poked on the other side by Light Hose. A
Last
devastating
round
round
in the
considering
half.
now they're sitting at 11, and if they get one more round, that's going to be match point. You want to try and get at least one round here. This game is a lot about the mental ability of your teams, whether or not they are sort of mental snowballing, and that seems like what Indiana Digital Learning School is doing. They're feeling good about themselves. Tabs is sitting at 20-2, and right under that, Light Hose at 12-2. These are some solid KD stats here, and those players are feeling it. They are going to be online and pushing forward. Tabs able to secure one, utilizing the knives so quickly. Will, however, lose the rest of that ultimate. Pyfy, a solid push. Bully McGuire picking up. Now 3v2. However, Light Hose
Spike
sitting in
down
that heaven
A.
spot is getting so many kills. We'll see if he's able to do anything with this owl drone.
Last player standing.
Ooh, really is. As Pyfy falls, there's only one left on the attack, but Bully McGuire
Picks it up for Fishers. They were able to finally get a round
Switching
on the
sides.
board, and I was gonna say, Taps going down early was a big win for the side of Fishers. Taking that player out of the round potentially saved them, from some danger. Lightos, though, able to pick up the slack, and that's what makes INDLS so dangerous. I feel if it's not, Taps, it's Lighthose. If it's not Lighthose, it's Risk Asuna. They just all are able to contribute, but getting those quick picks, that's what Fisher should, it looks like they're trying to do, and it's the first time their strategy really seemed to work out. Rush in, get those quick picks, and then hopefully put yourself in a position where the team is unable to respawn and you can just clean up. A little messy, but they're able to get around here. This is the last round before sides will swap, so Fisher's hoping to go into side swap with 2 rounds under their belt, as all things will even out. We get into round 13 here.
Sides have actually already swapped. We do see Indiana Digital Learning School on the attacker's side in a pistol round. This Astra is coming online, is going to be able to provide so much utility for this push. The Sova getting information. They're trying to find a pick here. But yeah, they don't see him. Is going to be able to secure a couple of kills as Pyfy cleans up Taps. Bully McGuire takes out another. And this looks like another round might go over unless Lighthose is able to do something here. So many low health bars makes this a dangerous game. There's spraying through the smoke. We'll see if they're able to find anything. Lighthose takes out one. You're going to want to double peek this man. He is crazy. See if they're able to do it. Bully McGuire to secure it. That's 2 rounds going over to Fishers.
And as we mentioned in the first half, winning that pistol round is a really good setup because you'll be able to make those bigger purchases. As these, rounds go on, things get a little muddier in terms of economy and credits. But this is the most pure advantage that you can have as a round 2 or round 1 win going into round 2, because you'll really be able to pick up, as we're seeing, those stingers, those judges. Looks like we're finally going to get some shotgun action here, Eddie, on the side of Fishers as we do begin this next round. INDLS looking to push B site.
They are. They do also have a little bit of extra utility for this push. We'll see how they utilize it. No flash is coming out yet, simply having to push through this smoke that the only place down. The flash does come through, and with 2 flash players, you'd expect them to be able to get some kills, but they all fall. Now there's only 1 left. It's gonna be a 5.
Flawless.
A flawless. Oh my goodness. All 5 players left alive. A fantastic round for Fishers, who are looking to be in a really strong position. However, they have to be wary, considering the fact that now Indiana Digital Learning School has rifles.
And this is where that muddiness starts to come in. But they still have a slight economy advantage, and I think we're looking at a real defensive battle here. Both teams look to struggle a little bit on their approaches onto sites, and Fisher's looking much stronger on their defense than they did on their attack. I'm sure it's really helping their, as we said, sort of that mental fortitude, knowing that you can beat this team. As INDLS looking to mix it up. This is our first mid push I think we've seen since this game started, as Coke does take down Pyfy. INDLS looks to attack B site.
The heals from Skyer are going to come through, as well as a dog trying to find a concussion there. All they needed, though, was the information. As Taps secures the kill, they're going to be moving towards the backside, trying to shut down Taps, but so much damage comes through, and Lighthose is able to double peek it. They're able to get a couple of easy kills. Now it looks like they're going to be at match point here soon, as Yef sits with such a small amount of health. And on the opposite side of the map, they're planting the spike. We'll see if Yef is able to do something here. Does find a little bit of damage, but ultimately falls to Armstrong boys with a long-range Vandal shot. And a flawless. It's going to make it a little bit more difficult for Fishers.
And this is where INDLS knows they just need 1 more round. Economies have sort of evened out a little bit here. Full rifles, full buys for both sides. So, you know, this is Fisher's last stand. If they want to take the win, or they want to claw back into this, which you can, it's very challenging, but the game's not over until it's over. Valorant doesn't have a time limit like some other games, so it might be difficult, but you're never out of it until that team gets 13 in this case. As we are going to see the first A push for the side of INDLS, and Bully McGuire with a great shot onto Tabs. That's going to make things really difficult for Indiana Digital Learning Schools.
Especially now that this Sage Wall is up. They're going to find a little bit of information, but not enough to make a solid push. Bully McGuire on the defensive side is rotating so far behind, but gets spotted out by some utility. However, finds 2 kills on the back end of it. And now we're sitting in a 4v1. Armstrong boys, the only one left alive. Pyfy going for that extra kill. Has to get rid of that turret. See how he uses the flash. And now Armstrong boys is in an awkward position. Goes down. It's another round for Fishers, who are making a solid stance here. They're not down and out. They are ready to make some plays.
Yeah, and this is what we needed to see there. When Fishers can get those quick eliminations, it seems that's what they feed off of. When the longer a round goes, it seems Fishers is when the wheel sort of comes off. But if they can play fast and play aggressive, Digital Learning Schools has a bit of a challenge keeping up with that. It's just a matter of how consistent can Fishers be round to round with this kind of play style.
I 100% agree. We are seeing a push straight towards mid. And like we said, that mid control can be absolutely oppressive. And as Bully McGuire falls, it looks like this round is already in favor of Indiana Digital Learning School. We'll see if they're able to find anything else.
Spike down,
A solid trade comes out. And now in mid lane, Yef is able to pick up on Lighthose. We'll see if anything else is found. Pyfy goes down, Pyfy takes out Taps, I'm sorry. Now we'll see. Coke in a solid position is able to capitalize.
You gotta check those angles. That's what the theme of Valorant is. When you the one time you don't check that one corner, that one sight line, that's when they're gonna be there. And Coke able to get the 3-piece to end this. INDLS 13-4 against Fishers High School. What a game! What a game to start with. Do you think we have an early front runner, Eddie, on who might be the team to beat this afternoon?
I think we might. I mean, especially with how dominantly players like Taps and Light Hose were, going 25-7, 17-7. They're certainly a powerful team to go up against, and it's definitely a little bit scary, a little bit worrying to see if you're another team in this competition. It can certainly be a bit scary. So a wonderful play from that team. We'll see how they decide to capitalize on their strategies moving forward in this little tournament here.
Yeah, and the next, we're not done here. They are best of one series, so we actually will see both of these teams again later this afternoon. But as we said, the results of Game 1, 13-4 Indiana Digital Learning School. I think we're going to have a really good afternoon with them. They're looking really strong. In just a few minutes, though, we're going to be getting into our second matchup, which is the Slayers versus the Honey Boo Boos. That doesn't sound like high school names, it's because they're not. These are actually collections of high school students that came together to form teams for this showcase. So sort of two free agent teams with two established high school teams. So it's going to be really interesting going into the second game to see how a collection of players that maybe haven't played together before come together and what those differences might look like against two teams that presumably have practiced and played together and have that rapport. So I'm really excited to get to see what these two teams can do and how this match is going to be different going into Slayers versus Honey Boo Boos.
I 100% agree, and it's a fantastic opportunity that even though your school doesn't necessarily have a team for you, you can find a group to play with still and partake in these events. It's really fantastic, and we'll see, like you said, how they decide to play with that. Something that could be an issue is having potentially two players who want to be the in-game leader and make those calls, but you could also mesh extremely well if these players are able to show off their flexibility, play roles they don't normally play, and make moves that are a little untraditional. We'll see how they manage that.
And I'm really excited for those exact reasons. And if you're just tuning in or you need a reminder, today we are doing the National Esports Combine, the showcase matches for Valorant. So 4 teams worth of high school Valorant players from across the country have come together. We have 2 Indiana schools and 2 free agent teams coming together to compete and showcase their skills to potential colleges running esports programs. So we have a whole slate of action, and this actually all culminates with the Combine event happening next week in Indianapolis, with some live events, some panels, some more showcase matches, some chances to meet and speak with college coaches and college programs, and for them to meet some high school students and some high school programs. It's going to be a really awesome event. But for today, we're doing these showcase matches, and we're just waiting on players to get into the lobby here. But if all things hold, I think we're going to see some really good Valorant here today, and hopefully we see some players earn some scholarships as a result of these matches.
That would be fantastic. I mean, especially with what we saw last round, you can tell that not only the players that won, like Taps and Light Hose, but also on the other side, some players from Fishers were really popping off and had some solid plays. And we'll see if they get reached out to, if anybody takes a look at their skills and their play styles and realizes that they're a good fit for their team.
I think we're definitely going to see a few names from these games here today on college rosters whenever they are set to graduate and move into the collegiate arena, because we're seeing a lot of really good Valorant action. And we are just getting, like we said, the players into the lobby, and we'll start the map ban phase. So we've seen Ascent. We've seen some Split and Bind. Like you said, you didn't really want to see those banned. Eddie, what maps are you hoping that we might get to see in this match? Do you think we run it back on Ascent, or do you think we'll get to see something a little bit more dynamic?
I'm hoping for something a little bit different. I do like Ascent. I think it's a good map for showcasing your abilities. It has lots of variables and different angles to take, and so it can be really interesting. But if you're playing on a team, I really like to see play maps like Icebox or Fracture. These close maps that can have really interesting set plays that these teams will be able to utilize, and create and develop strategies for pushing onto site and making sure that they get the plant down, or holding those sites safely and making sure that they're able to play for some solid retakes. And so we'll see what they decide to play here if they decide to go for a specific map that suits their abilities, or if they're going to opt for something a little bit different, like the Ascent, that has so many options for how you would like to play.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting. Again, going back to that dynamic that these players might not have a lot of history with each other. So picking a map could be a real decision here. When it comes to established teams, it might be an easy decision to go through with what maps we're strong on, what maps we might not want to play. But when you have a collection of students, there are going to be different tastes in map. So it might actually, we were talking about make or break for this Indiana Digital Learning School and Fishers, but it really could be the make or break for these two groups, as specialties I guess are really pronounced on certain maps as opposed to others. So it's really going to come down to what both teams decide to do. Again, it is a pick ban phase, so we will be entering that as soon as we know which map. We're definitely going to deep dive in and see what we might get featured on those maps. Again, all this for the National Esports Showcase matches. This is all being brought to you from Ball State's campus here in Indiana on the Robert Bell Building, our brand new esports center. So we're happy to get to do this production. And if, shameless plug, if there are any students interested in Ball State esports or Ball State esports production, definitely get in touch. We're always looking to add more students. It's the combine, right? Colleges are recruiting, so why shouldn't we? If you're looking to get involved with, college esports, Ball State definitely is an option for you, kind of in the vein of what we're doing here this weekend.
Exactly, and it's not just about the players too. Like you said, Ball State Esports production is a fantastic crew of people. We have some solid people behind the scenes who are able to put on these fantastic productions, and that is such a fantastic opportunity for students to be able to get involved in a fantastic industry that is starting to build itself. Here we do see, though, I want to pull our attention to a couple of bands coming out. We see Split, Ascent, Bind, Fracture, and Haven all banned as they decide to play on Breeze. And we talked a little bit about Breeze, but it is a big map that allows for really long sight lines on almost every single site. Whether you're looking towards that mid or even B site and A site are both extremely long. And so it's going to emphasize a lot of long rifle plays. You're going to want to be picking the Vandals potentially and getting those headshots. But also, potentially we'll see a lot more operators than we did this round. I mean, we only saw mostly rifles, but if you're playing Breeze, you're going to want to get that operator. You're going to want to get that long sight line, that sniper rifle to take down people from a distance.
And we'll talk about a display of skill. When you have a player that can handle an operator, that's such a huge advantage. One shot, one kill. But you have to be able to line up your sights. You have to have that quick reaction. So this is going to be, I think, a great map to showcase a variety of talents, especially one that utilizes probably the most important piece of the mechanics in this game, your aim.
Exactly. Having good aim is crucial. But as we get into the compositions of these teams, we already see the Jet locked in for the defenders. Jet is such a fantastic pick on this map. Like we said, the operator is such a strong gun, and Jet a strong operator for that gun. If you utilize the operator, you can take some dangerous plays, and then you're able to essentially dash out of the way, dash out of danger, and so it allows some really safe takes on slightly more dangerous peaks. But we also see, and I want to highlight this, the Chamber coming out for Cypher. I love Chamber. It's such a fantastic operator or agent in this game. Chamber has utility that essentially gives him a gun. His ultimate is a pseudo operator that can be really, really strong. And so we'll see how that's utilized here as it's already been locked in.
Yeah, a bit of a mirror that, we're seeing obviously some differences, particularly with the Reyna and the Sky, but we're also seeing,
Choose your
otherwise
agent.
4-for-4. Talk to me about what the Viper might be able to do on a map like Breeze, because in my, more ignorant experience, she's better in closer quarters like Icebox, or places where she's really able to get those the smokes down.
Well, on a map like Breeze, it's not so much about forcing players into your smokes and into that dangerous Viper's pit. Instead, it's about cutting up those sight lines and shortening the angles that these players are going to be wanting to pick. And so if you throw a wall up on a site, that means that these players are going to have to push through that wall into your operator that's holding way far back on site, or potentially pushing up into a rifle that's holding an off angle. And so it just makes it a lot more worrisome for the attacker's side. A Viper is a solid pick here, especially for Breeze.
And as we load into this map, Eddie, and for those of you at home, Honey Boo Boos are on the side of the attacker, with Slayers on the defense. And a reminder for those who don't know, we'll do 12 rounds of this setup before we flip. And both teams will get a chance to attack and defend. But if it goes any way, like we saw in Indiana Digital Learning Schools and Fishers, sometimes you don't get the same amount of chances. So you need to play every round. You have to play for every point to set yourself up for success. Much like we talked about on Ascent, what are you seeing on Breeze? I know we talked about those long sight lines as gates do come up and the round does begin here. And it does look like we're going to get some action on a site from the side of Honey Boo Boos. Eddie, talk to me about what we're seeing here.
Yeah, it looks like we're seeing a little bit of people poking out through A, but that Jet does escape. Did get the Owl drone to tag her, and so they have that information that Jet is on the A site, and now the attacker's deciding to rotate. Honey Boo Boos don't want to move up too far. That Viper smoke, like I said, is going to force these players to push up, and if they don't have a solid flash yet, it's going to be extremely difficult. Viper does fall, though. The smoke is going to come out in just the right spot. Jet moving up onto site, wants to find something here, does find Deliawa on backside. We'll see if Memphi is able to do anything else here. Cypher holding with the chamber, wants to try and pick off somebody from a long angle, utilizing that long distance sheriff that only chamber has access to. However, Memphi is able to pick up another one. These attackers are sitting in a 5v3, 5v2, 4v2, and now a 4v1. It's all up to Memphi, who's going to have to clean up.
Yeah, and
Last player,
attack
Cypher.
so far.
Teleporting out of the way just in time. We'll see if he's able to pick anything up before falling. Does get kinetic.
Yeah, maybe get a few picks off here. You really aren't playing with much. There's no reason to really hide on a pistol round. If you're able to kind of get some eliminations going into that second round, it's well worth it. We do see them pick up one here, but a really strong attack there from the side of the Honey Boo Boos. Slayer's able to stop the bleeding a little bit there, but looked, at least in my opinion, that rotation is something we didn't really see in that first map. Almost a fake to A into B. That's what I really was hoping to see kind of with that team play. And so far, Honey Boo Boos looks like they've got some good coordination for a group that might not have really played together before.
And now we see they're going to be pushing up on the A with that Owl drone. Utilizing it to try and find anyone, but nobody is on site. They're going to get the plant down early. So many players on Slayers, though, are deciding to hide near tube in that area around mid, and we'll see how they utilize that position. Kinetic and Cypher here on the back of site are going to get caught out. Monkey finding Kinetics. And we'll see how Dark Ball, if that Bolt is going to find anyone. The Recon Bolt doesn't find enough. They have barely any information, and with just pistols, it's going to be a difficult time. However, these long sight lines, like we said, make it easier for a Sheriff, but Vapor finds that kill. Now Memphi gets another one. 3v2, the defenders are struggling to get this defuse off. Cypher, the only one left, and does fall. It's hard to be peeking into 3 players. They do go low. They're entirely low on health, so they're outputting the damage, just not securing the kills in time.
And that's really where the difference shows between headshots and body shots and leg shots. You know, with the amount of low health that we see, you have to ask yourself, man, you know, maybe if I didn't get 2 shots in the legs, you know, it could be a completely different story. And that's where aim really does come into play, because both teams looks like they have like a decent feel over what they want to do. Strategy-wise, it's just coming down to execution as we do begin our 3rd round here with Honey Boo Boos on the attack.
It looks like an aggressive position from Deliala. He's going to try and find Memphi. Does get a solid timing on that and will click that head pretty quickly. And now with Deliawi down, it's going to be awkward to push out here. Kinetic is going to be pushing forward, however, into Tube. Wants to find something here. Doesn't exactly have enough information to make a move here, but with 3 players, you're going to be peeking potentially 1 person. So Cypher does get caught out, but runs away just in time. Doesn't take too much damage. It's going to take a solid angle here. Does get revealed by the recon dart, giving away a tiny bit of information. And now that orb is going to provide so much vision denial. But Dark Ball able to secure 1 before falling down with that Ares. Can be a really strong gun, especially with recent buffs to it. Now Monkey gets a solid round for the defenders. The Slayers are going to be in a pretty solid position after that round.
Those aggressive lurks and flanks remind me a lot of what we do here on the Ball State team, because that's a really fun play style, and it can catch teams really off guard, and that just seems to be what happened with the Slayers, able to get those early picks in sort of unique angles, unconventional defensive holds, and you know, allowed Slayers to get the advantage in that round. And here they are with 1 on the board, and look, we're shaping up to have a really close game.
They really are. This should be interesting. Cypher holding that site all on his own. Is going to start moving off towards back. Going to let Sova, Dark Ball, take the lead there. Monkey does get a kill on Vapor. That's near mid. We'll see how they utilize that information. They do spot a couple of heads, but Boo Boos are already on top of site. And now with 2 players falling, this is a dangerous position. Dark Ball wants to try and find something here. Isn't quite able to secure anything. They don't know where the spike is yet, though. And Spook does not even have it quite yet. Is going to start moving backwards, picking up an orb. We'll see what Spook decides to try to do with that. And Memphi on the other side is going to spot out Soup. Not quite, though. Ooh, just barely missing. I mean, these solid jiggle peaks are going to give Soup that information without putting her in a dangerous position.
It does look like Honey Boo Boos are able to take the B site here. It took them a little bit to get the full rotation and get the spike down, but we are going to see spike down
planted.
kind of a longer round than what we have typically seen. But now Slayers are going to have to retake the site, and it's going to be difficult there as Spook is able to take down Deliawa, and making it a 2v3 even tougher now for Slayers to really hope to recapture this point and defuse.
But Soup does peek out, gets the kill on the Memphi. Put them in an advantageous position. Dark Ball getting another one. Kinetic's the only one left, and if one of them goes for the defuse, the other one can protect their butt. And here we see Kinetic getting 1 crucial kill. And now it's a 1v1, and with that overheal that Reyna gets, it's really dangerous. A solid clutch from Kinetic. He's going to secure that round for the Honey Boo Boos.
And that's what makes Reyna so annoying to play against. I know in my ranked games, all the way down in bronze, it can be really frustrating when that Reyna can just chain those kills together and get that overheal.
It really is devastating, and it's going to put the economy of the Slayers in an awkward position, forcing a couple of marshals, potentially a judge, and really just sheriffs for the rest of their team. It's an awkward position to be in, especially when you're going up against quite a few rifles. Kinetic pushing forward into mid. Memphi wants to take an aggressive angle here on B. Grabs that orb, has the knives. They do come online.
You want to
See
play?
if Memphi is
Let's
able
play.
to find anything with these knives. However, a solid default push. I mean, if you're Slayers, you're put in an awkward position. You don't want to try and pressure anything too much.
Especially without this information, the Honey Boo Boos have done a good job of not really revealing any of their intent here. And as it does look like Slayers do believe this will be an A push as they stack 4 there on A, leaving just the Viper on B site. And I think Honey Boo Boos might have gotten wind of that as there's a full-fledged rotation in. As we might see the first action of the game here. Jig is up as now the Slayers do know that it's a B-side attack. Soup able to take down Memphi to buy a little bit of time before going down to the counterpart Viper. And we are going to see the spike plant. Slayers in a position to have to retake yet again.
With the spike down and the Viper pit down, that's going to be dangerous. It's hard to push up into that Viper's pit because as soon as you're in it, it's going to take your health down to a real low stance, and especially with that Judge, though, it makes it a little bit easier. However, the ultimate from Kinetic comes through. That's going to be dangerous. See if he's able to find anything. Gets concussed. This is an awkward position. Prestige, however, utilizing the tour de force so well. Gets a nice kill. See if Kinetic finds anyone here. Barely avoids Cypher. Monkey falls to Prestige's operator. Tour de force is devastating. And so is Kinetic. Honey Boo Boos with their 4th round.
And that Reyna's just proving to be really dangerous. You know, the Honey Boo Boos are doing a really good job on this attack. Like we had been saying, to not really give up much information, figure out where, you know, that sort of backdoor is, that vulnerability, and then force it out. The Slayers really expected an A-site push, leaving just 1 on that B-site. And how quickly the Honey Boo Boos decided, you know what? If you're going to all sit on A, we're just going to go B.
Exactly, but I also want to point out Prestige on this chamber. I mean, utilizing that tour de force so well, some people wondered, if this champion is just giving me guns, why isn't he a duelist? Well, I think that proves that point. He is a sentinel for sure, and here we see a quick push. It's going to end pretty quickly, though, as the plant does go down. And they're already moving off of site. Monkey in an awkward position is going to end up flashing his teammate on accident. Didn't necessarily want to do that, but he put Liawa in an awkward position.
Take flight.
Fabric gonna fall. We'll see if Cypher is able to do anything here. Has the tour de force online. He's gonna fake that defuse. Utilize its tour de force. Just a barely missed shot, and the counter ultimate from Silva is gonna deny that defuse for just a little bit longer. This tour de force needs to get a kill if they want to get the defuse here. Kinetic, however, is just gonna be continuously going for that angle. And of course, the attackers do win again. Spook is going to fall to the spike detonation. Sitting 5-1.
Just tough. Slayers had a good retake. I was going to say that initial attack, it seems kind of, you know, it was a messy environment. That they didn't. It wasn't as clean as their 5th round attack. So Slayers had a really big door there to try to, you know, take another round off. But unfortunately, just not being able to get those shots off, those last few moments there, bought the time needed for the Honey Boo Boos to kind of almost wait out the spike defuse time with just some, you know, some I guess unfocused gunplay. As we do see the Jet ult take down her counterpart, giving the Slayers their first real advantage in an early round setting.
Exactly, and we'll see Monkey also moving forward here, wants to try and find someone. They know they're around mid. They have a little bit of that information. We'll see if... Ooh, Monkey does get picked. You don't necessarily want to dry peek these angles. You are a Sky. You have those flashes available. You just got to use them at the right time. Spots the head, though. Liawa is able to secure and maybe salvage this awkward scenario. Kinetic pushing right into Cypher. We're sitting at a 3v2. And the Slayers are divided. Dark Ball holding a site, potentially moving a little bit off of it. Does not know where the plant could come through. Is going to peek that angle. Doesn't find anyone, though. We'll see if it comes through. Viper wall comes out. Kinetic just peeking over the top is trying to find Dark Ball here,
30
but
seconds left.
ultimately
Spike planted.
out on top is going to try and utilize that ultimate
enemy
well.
remaining.
Finds one. Now the attackers are in an awkward position, a 2v1, and Viper is here. It's going to be peeking so quickly, but Vapor gets two and
Another
clinches that round.
Yeah, and we're kind of starting to see a little bit of separation here. The Honey Boo Boos really putting themselves in the driver's seat for this match. As you can see on your screen, the economy definitely favoring the side of the Honey Boo Boos here. Just like we had seen in the last match, even if they drop around here or there, they're still going to be in a decent spot. As it looks like the Slayers aren't really even going to be able to do a full buy here. Another round that they might have to maybe sacrifice unless they get a good pick to start the game. It's going to be really tough here to pick up at least these next 2 rounds, and I speak too soon as we do see a jet pick almost immediately on the Honey Boo Boos Viper. Should make things a little bit more difficult and easier for the Slayers playing defense.
We'll see if that comes true. I'd like to point out these players are playing extremely well. The rounds are close. The Honey Boo Boos are just able to secure it 99% of the time. However, like you said, they do have an advantage in this early game, however. They're sitting in a 4v4. We'll see how Spook decides to take this angle. If Dark Ball decides to peek that, it's going to be a little dangerous. Memphi finds one on the other side at B site. Now Spook trying to push forward, wants to find an angle onto Soup here, potentially taking him out before the rest of his team goes down. Kinetic, you're going to have to watch the angle behind. You're going to get spotted out by Dark Ball. Cleans up 1 kill, and now they know that Dark Ball is there. A 3v2, and all of the Honey Boo Boos are on site, and we are to push up
Spike
into
planted.
Pokey. Trying to find a
player
long
standing.
angle, but gets taken out by Spook, double peeking that, and Dark Ball in a tough position in tunnel. It's gonna fall. Another round goes over to the Honey Boo Boos.
Yeah, the Honey Boo Boos looking really, really good here. Just like we were saying in the first game of the day, it's not just one player. They're all able to contribute. As we, do see the score line here, KDA is looking pretty good across the board for the Honey Boo Boos. But Kinetic on that Reyna really doing some nice work to bring this team back, because it seems like they'll lose 1, they'll lose 2, and maybe this is the Slayers' chance really to get around here. But then, any of these players on the Honey Boo Boos are able to make up that difference, as we are going to see the Honey Boo Boos try to get some information here on A site as the rotation comes in from the Slayers. Not wanting to give up another round here with it being 7-1. Plant going to go down pretty early as Monkey is going to be able to get that pick onto Kinetic before trade out. And here we go. Tail as old as time. The Honey Boo Boos able to come back from that first pick as a flurry of kills come in. But speaking too soon, Eddie, my caster curse abilities are unlike anyone else's as Slayers pulled this one back. Incredible gunplay so far.
A 2v1, but with the Tour de Force online, that's going to be a scary. Prestige trying to take an aggressive angle, isn't able to clean up Soap. Does pull out the Vandal, we'll see if anything happens, but the defuse has already come through. And the Slayers have a solid round in their pockets. Sitting at 7-2, you're not behind by too much. I mean, 5 rounds seems like a lot, especially if you play a different game, but in Valorant, there's always potential for a comeback. Even if you're 5, 6, 7, 8 rounds behind.
Once you get that momentum, once you pick up that first round win, in a while, like we've seen with the Slayers, it's been 4, they had a streak of 4 straight losses, but it's easier to get the second one after the first one. It's easier to get that third one after the second one. It's if you are able to snowball your momentum, it becomes a lot easier to crawl back. As Chet, another great kill here. Kind of, what we've been seeing these past few rounds, a quick pick for the Slayers. And now the Honey Boo Boos playing at another 4v5, but they always find a way to make it close, as it does look like they're going to try to get some intel here on A site, with potentially a flank here happening through mid. Might be caught out here, but we are going to see the push onto A.
Monkey gets another clean kill, and the flash comes through, is going to be able to take out Kinetic. That's a power player down. Monkey in a solid position. Something I was about to say is that they need to be utilizing this utility more. Those sky flashes, I feel like I've seen maybe one or two, but as soon as they come online, they're such a devastating move, and Cypher able to clean up one, cleans up two. They're walking right into his crosshair. Chamber able to pick up some solid kills there. It's going to be a flawless, which is, like you said, going to snowball them. Not only do they have the credit advantage, but they also have this mental snowball that could potentially lead them into the next few rounds, and we'll see if they're able to make a solid comeback here and bring it back to about even before the end of the half.
With 2 more rounds, including this one, before the half, you know, the Slayers have a chance to get it to a 5-7 score, which would be a pretty good spot for them on the side switch, because obviously you do lose a little bit of that economy momentum when the sides do swap, but you know, the Slayers really will want to capture these next 2 rounds here, as we do see the jet ult come out from Memphi here. So potential danger for the Slayers, as Memphi has proven pretty good with the aim here. So I'm excited to see what value it might be able to get. As Soup does take down Vapor to give the Slayers that advantage, that classic advantage that the Slayers will have each round.
And here we see Prestige picking up a nice clean kill at the beginning of the round. Going 3 and 7. See if they're able to do something here. The Honey Boo Boos are going to be rotating around a little bit closer to the A site. I want to try and find something here, but with Sova and Chamber holding that angle, it's going to be a bit scary. We've seen how dominant Cypher is on this Chamber, utilizing those guns extremely well and holding those sites. But, oh! Memphi does not get a good timing there. Falls to Dark Ball. However, Dark Ball is spotted out. They know he's there. Does get a solid peek on the Spook. Is going to find another Cypher.
Enemy remaining. 30 seconds
now we're sitting in
left.
4v1. Kinetic is the only one left alive. Does fall to the Cypher. So much utility utilized to secure it.
And the Slayers are really pulling this
round
one
before the
back. If you
switch.
asked me a few rounds ago how this one was going, I would have, you know, have said that the Honey Boo Boos are really going to probably run away with this, but the Slayers making that difficult as we head into the last round before the swap here, where everything will reset. Both teams look like they'll be able to commit to full buys here. And we are seeing the op come out here for the Slayers. Is this the first op we've seen this game?
I think not only this game, but today in general. Last game, I don't think we saw an operator as well. And that op on Breeze is going to be devastating. We'll see how well Liali is able to utilize it. A solid player getting some really good entry frags, and already Cypher and Liali are picking up some solid kills early on in this game. The operator comes out again. The knives are online as well if he wants to take a bit of a closer angle, because he has that knife right click. It's kind of like a shotgun. Let's see how well he's able to push forward with that. Doesn't want to move too far forward. And now it feels like the Honey Boo Boos are just stuck in mid. They don't have a solid angle to take. Memphi is going to utilize the dash to get out of there. That's awkward. You now don't have that dash to take an aggressive angle again.
Things are proving to be a little bit difficult for the Honey Boo Boos. Looking at a 3v4, they do have a few ultimates online. This is the use it or lose it situation, so we'll probably see both of them come out, give them a little bit more pushing power potentially as they try to work out what they want to do here. They're only 30 seconds left, so they're going to have to make a decision
30 seconds
fairly soon. It looks like they have as they begin their rotation over to B site. Oh, and we do see the knives come out, Eddie, like you said, to take maybe that aggressive angle, and it looks like the Slayers are aware of this B site push, as Soup able to take down Memphi before falling to Kinetic himself. Kinetic here
10
with that
seconds left.
overheal can be really dangerous here, especially as the Reyna ult comes online. The spike is down.
The Sova ult being utilized pretty quickly. I'm not sure if you want to
Last
use it
player
quite that
standing.
fast, but with Spook getting a 2 clean kills, Dark Ball is the only one that's left, but may potentially get the pickup here. Kinetic secures the round. We're going to be 8 and 4 moving into the next
Switching
round here.
sides.
Going straight back to pistols as the sides switch. Honey Boo Boos now on defense. Are going to have to find a way to hold these angles. It'll be interesting to see what sort of strategies they decide to employ, especially considering, like you've said a few times at this point, they are players who have not worked together thus far. They're being put together as essentially free agents.
You could have fooled me, though. These
for
teams
sure.
are working pretty well together, both on the attack and the defense, as we've seen so far. The rotations, you know, the communication, just based on what we're seeing, has to be there. You have to be able to talk about what's happening, and the teams are
Don't let me down
looking
now,
rather
yeah?
fluid in their decision-making. So while there, you know, are a few bumps and I'm sure miscommunications on the whole, both teams have to be pretty happy with how they're playing out right now.
I would like to add they are communicating extremely well. You can tell that they're making plays off of each other and giving credit. Credit is due to Liawa. Oh, what a difficult name to say. Is trying to continue to find those quick frags, but is only able to tack on a bunch of damage to Vapor.
And that's really important. And we are going to see the heal actually come out from the sky here to bring that jet up a little bit, to give the Slayers a little bit of an advantage, because that Viper on the side of the Honey Boo Boos is hurting. And without not a way to really heal your teammates, some utility that, you know, sometimes I think Valorant isn't, you know, a super, you know, heal-oriented game like Overwatch, but it's so valuable when you can get some more HP for your teammates.
Especially in the pistol rounds, you don't want to be low on health, but Prestige able to get a solid kill.
30
The
seconds
attackers in an awkward position are going to get spotted up by Spook, but does eventually fall. We'll see how they utilize their priority in tube here. Have some solid angles. Vapor being so low is going to be put in a difficult position. Prestige trying to find an angle on top of those boxes, and Kinetic moving forward. Vapor is able to get the headshot onto Monkey.
left. One enemy
Cypher
remaining.
falls. Now it's just Liawa. The only one left alive does go down to Kinetic, and the defuse is going to come through. Nice and clean. A solid round for the defenders. Honey Boo Boos secure that round, and hopefully we'll be able to find a few more rounds off of that one.
And we talked a little bit about communication there, though. It seemed something fell apart with the Slayers a little bit in terms of their communication. Didn't really seem after that plant to have an idea of what they wanted to do. Didn't really look like there was too much of an effort, you know, or at least a clean effort to hold the site, which kind of allowed the Honey Boo Boos to find those angles and get in there without too much of a response, because it did look fairly even once the spike went down, but the Slayers just unable to match sort of that coordination, maybe even some of that mechanical aiming on the side of the Honey Boo Boos there.
Yeah, post-plant scenarios can be really difficult to organize, though. Most teams, professional, collegiate, or otherwise, do have solid set plays that they utilize for post-plants, and so obviously it's going to be difficult for a team who has just come together recently in these last few days. And now we see such a solid poke from Spook is going to secure quite a few kills. Memphi wants to try to find something too. We're sitting at 3v3, but the attackers haven't able to find anything so far, as Memphi gets a solid kill, now 2v2, but attackers are stuck in mid. They're not pushing onto a site. They don't really have priority anywhere, nor do they have pressure.
Does look like we are going to see a rotate, though, coming out onto A site. I'm not sure if they know that the Honey Boo Boos are not on A, but this is a really nice rotation here from the Slayers. Monkey leading the way here. That Viper Wall is going to help a little bit here, kind of diffuse any vision as the Honey Boo Boos look to try to retake A site. It's going to be a little bit more difficult now that the spike is down and they're playing for retake. So we're going to see these Slayers hopefully hold these angles a little bit better, not give up the site the way they did the very round before.
Hopefully we'll see the Viper Wall come back up, which it does, but not quite fast enough. Won't deny too much vision, however, they do still have to poke through. Prestige taking a tiny bit of damage from that Viper's Pit. Or Snake Bite.
One enemy remaining.
However, Prestige with the Spectre is going to get a couple of kills. However, the Snake Bite is going to do a tiny bit of damage, but not enough. now, sitting 10-4, the Honey Boo Boos are in a solid position to continue winning rounds, especially off of that round.
Yeah, and things are going to get a lot more challenging for the Slayers here. That was another round where it just seemed like their post-plant, Eddie, as you mentioned, post-plant strategy, Eddie, as you mentioned, you know, wasn't there. Taking that double peek, kind of, sometimes double peeking, you know, you get the trade, but they're both going down to the side of Honey Boo Boos, not what you wanted. They're gonna have to figure something out. They have no problem getting to the sites and making those plays, but need to tighten up in that post-plant situation.
Exactly, they're double peeking, but too close to each other, and so that Spectre is able to spray them down. However, Memphi getting a solid headshot to start this round off is gonna put him ahead. Tries to find something onto Liawa, but instead Liawa is the one who gets the kill on Kinetic. And now this plant is going to go down. A 4v4 post plant. We'll see if they're able to utilize anything here. The Viper's Pit comes up, and that's going to make it way more difficult for Honey Boo Boos. Especially after this Viper's Pit is invested. You're going to want to have to secure this round, but Spook does claim one. However, the attackers are just going to dominate the latter half of that post plant and do secure the round. Now
Exactly. You don't need a post-plant strategy if you're just going to eliminate the entire other team. And I think that that's maybe what the Slayers have figured out here as they pull one more to make it 5-10. We're going to see full buys on the side of both teams. So at least in terms of firepower and utility, this should be a rather even round here. Another operator coming out here on the side of Memphi, on the side of the Honey Boo Boo. So like you said, it's going to make things a little bit difficult with those sight lines. An operator on defense can be oppressive if in the right hands.
It certainly can be, but taking an aggressive stance at A isn't going to do anything in this round as they decide to push closer to mid and B. They're going to be taking an angle here. We'll see if they find Vapor. Maybe they just want to poke just enough. Viper on the other side of this push is going to have to find a way to push into sight on B with that spike. But it starts to seem like Memphi is caught on. Is going to be starting to move off of sight. Sitting closer to
this shot there. Unfortunately, Honey Boo Boo's missed an opportunity to potentially get two there. And now the jig is up. Both teams, you know, making their way over to B side as Prestige does pick up two there for the Honey Boo Boos before Soup takes down Vapor. Things getting kind of out of control here as the whole firefight opens up. Honey Boo Boos up 3-1 here as they look to defend this site from the sky. It's not going to matter because Prestige with his fourth kill is able to take down Monkey, make this 11-5 for the Honey Boo Boos.
You never truly expect a judge to be holding an angle like that, and the way Prestige played it was surprisingly well. I mean, jumping over that barrier to take down Soup was an incredibly smart play, hiding right back as you fall down. I mean, it's hard to take that kill there, and so a solid round for Prestige, getting a 4K with a judge on B site. We'll see if that changes how these players play, but now, because they're worried about that judge, they're going to be pushing right up into Memphi's operator. It does get spotted out, but utilizing that smoke is going to find a solid angle closer to the back site. See if they can find something here. Not quite. They're going to decide to rotate again towards mid. They don't want to push up into that operator at all. They're not going to try and take it out or anything. Instead, throwing Memphi off. Now, sitting in a bit of a dangerous position around mid. Cypher is going to be utilizing that tour de force to try and watch the flank, just in case Memphi tries to push it.
Both teams taking a little bit slower of an approach on this map. I guess, you know, kind of the reality that we are just a few rounds away potentially from the end of this game, making Slayers play a little bit, maybe not cautious, but a little bit more thoughtful because they know every round here almost needs to go their way if they'd want to get in a position to win this one. Is Vapor just kind of out of sight here from both pushers on the side of Slayers here, and they're still unsure which site we're really going to see on the attack, as it could be A here. Still a default setup, really just playing for information and or picks. Looks like we're going to get down to the wire here. Not much time left, Eddie. 15 seconds on the clock. We're going to have to see a push here. Now it's do or die time from the
10
Slayers.
seconds left.
As they do get on point with 2 quick picks. Vapor and Kinetic going down. Getting the plant down is Monkey. This is going to make things a little bit more challenging here for the side of the Honey Boo Boos, as a Cypher takes down Memphi. Make it a 4v2. Honey Boo Boos in danger here.
They're in an awkward position. A Soup is able to clean them up, picks up the operator for the attacking side. That's going to be some money in their hands. Actually switches it out for a Vandal last second. Operator on attack, not always the best idea. But a solid attack half. I mean, deciding to wait that long to plant is a dangerous game, but if you play it well, it can throw the enemy team off because they'll start to rotate. They'll get antsy. They'll take angles they probably shouldn't, and they'll be put in awkward position. So because of that, they're able to push up on the site extremely quickly and get that plant down right at the end of the half. But now Prestige is waiting here with the Tour de Force, wants to try and find a solid angle. The Owl Drone comes out. Is barely going to spot him out, but with the Tour de Force ready, ooh, isn't able to pick up a kill, as Soup knew where he was. They're gonna try and fake the plant. She'll get it down soon, but does fall. Memphi has the knives ready. Gets traded out.
Spike
Now in
planted.
awkward position, sitting in a 3v3. The attackers don't know what to do. The defense side doesn't know what to do. The plant is down. But we'll see if they're able to keep that pressure on.
One enemy remaining.
Spots out Pepper.
Ooh, Dark Ball with 2 there to give another round to the Slayers. And, you know, Eddie, as we mentioned, you know, they realize every round counts here. Not that it earlier rounds didn't count, but kind of, you know, with the game ticking away, getting closer to that end, they've changed their playstyle up a little bit more patient. You know, they're still able to get those clutch picks, but when they force, they do it as a team, able to get the plant down. That's really what they want, because once that spike is down, suddenly the onus to make a move switches to the defenders, because now they've got to get to the spike. So Slayer's changing up their entire playstyle really to a much more patient one, and it's paying off.
Exactly. They're just waiting for the right time to make a play. Don't want to push up too fast. Mapper utilizing the Viper's Pit to try and slow down a push. Does spot Liawa. Now, defense side, the Honey Boo Boos are going to be in a pretty solid position. It's a lot harder to play this attack if you're losing that first player, especially with how dominant Honey Boo Boos have been. Kinetic has that ultimate available. Could potentially pop it here. Doesn't want to use it just yet. Pushing into 3 people is scary. You don't want to waste that ultimate. Does use it though. He's going to try and find one. The information comes online. He knows where they are. Is Kinetic going to push them any further? That's the question. The ultimate comes through from
One
Spook.
enemy remaining.
Soup here cleaning up the side of the Honey Boo Boos, leaving just Vapor online. It's going to be tough. A 1v4. Even though that Sky is a little weak, location is revealed. The Slayers know where he's coming from. It's going to be tough here as Monkey does take Vapor down, get them their 8th round win. And suddenly, things are looking a lot closer than where we were a few rounds ago.
They certainly are. Like I said, I mean, if you're behind 4 or 5 rounds, that's a lot less than it really feels like. Especially with Valorant, this game, as soon as you get a couple of wins, your momentum can spiral into even more, and then you're closer than you imagine. So we'll see if they're able to do anything with this lead. They have 3 wins in a row. And the attacking half is a solid position to be on this map, especially if you're making a comeback, because you can dictate the movement so well. Monkey getting a kill. Spook, however, able to trade it out. Soup, however, making it a solid 4v3. We'll see if they're able to deny it anymore. The plant is going to go down, and that is tough
Spike planted.
for Honey Boo Boos. They're going to have to find a way to move forward, but that Viper's Pit coming online is going to be dangerous. Cypher cleaning up Spook.
We are going to see Cypher here getting the good pick onto Cypher. Makes things a 2v2 here. Honey Boo Boo's in a better position now. Oh, spoke too soon. Soup taking down Prestige, and now we have a 20 health Viper going to try to make a last stand here. Don't know how well it's going to work out, as Darkball has a pretty strong angle here. Should be able to... Nope, it's going to be Soup. Soup takes down Vapor, make it 9-11. I think that's, what, 3-4 straight now for the Slayers? So kind of the inverse of what we saw in match 1, where the defenders had a distinct advantage in those in the round wins. Now it seems the attackers are really able to do some damage here. So 4 rounds in a row here now for Slayers, and that matches, or just about matches, the 5 streak that we saw on the side of Honey Boo Boo's attack. So Slayers having a really, really strong attack half here, as we are set to begin round 21 here on Breeze.
But they'll have to be wary. Memphi has a solid angle in mid. Utilizing that operator. Knows exactly where the enemy jet is, wants to try and find him. Cypher, however, already on B's site. They're going to get the plant down so quickly, so easily. Nobody was on B to try and stop it. Now, a 4v2 is going to be a tough situation for the Honey Boo Boos, however. Spook. Spotting Liawa. He's going to utilize the Owl Drone, try and get some more information. But they're not looking at the right spots. They're both trying to peek through tunnel, and so they don't have the information. Dark Ball cleaning them both up. It's going to bring us 10 and 11. We're almost tied here, and that's dangerous.
Now, Eddie, you know, I'm a big fan. Anybody that's watched me cast knows I'm a huge fan of Chaos, and I always root for it. Tell us what happens if we see this game go tied after 24 rounds.
If both teams end up with 12 and 12, it will go to overtime, which is really interesting. Essentially, teams will have to switch back and forth between attack and defense, and the first player to win with an advantage of 2 is the player to secure the game.
So things can get crazy pretty quickly here as the Slayers pick up another pick here onto Memphi. So that giving themselves a Soup gets spooked down. We're seeing a distinct advantage now for the Slayers, potentially setting up for a B site push here. Nobody on B to really stop this. There is, you know, the potential angle here, as the rest of Honey Boo Boos will have to rotate, and won't be enough as Prestige does go down, and we will see the spike. It's looking bad for Honey Boo Boos in a 2v4, having to retake as the Slayers set up for this point defense.
Exactly, this is really tough. Kinetic trying to push up on the point, wants to find a solid angle. Isn't quite able to find anything. Monkey going for a play here, gonna use the flash. Does find Kinetic. Maybe finds another, but not quite. The attackers on another win. We're sitting 11-11. Could bring us to overtime. That depends on how well the attackers are able to play. It seems like they're locked in. They've won so many rounds in a row. I believe it's 6 now.
6 in a row.
And so we'll see if they're able to secure this game. I mean, such a desperate comeback, and they do it so well. This attacker half, though, is definitely favored on Breeze. I mean, the fact that you're able to dictate the pace of the game, and the other team is left reacting. The defenders are always left trying to rotate, and it's definitely difficult for them. However, Vapor is going to get spotted. Not quite enough damage from the ultimate, nor enough information, really. Feels like a little bit of a waste. Memphi getting a kill on a completely different part of the site. However, B site, or A site, I'm sorry, is entirely given over to the Slayers. We'll see if they're able to pick up this round.
Yeah, and some trades happening here, as we are looking at Memphi's point of view to try to maybe snag someone here with this Marshall. It's going to be tough to retake this site in a potentially blinded here as Prestige does take the opposite angle, unable to really find anything here. Gets taken down by Darkball, who's just been on fire these past few rounds. I feel like we've seen Darkball's name in the kill feed, but it won't be enough as the Honey Boo Boos are able to clear out all of the attackers and get this defuse down, bringing us 12-11. Game point, match point. Honey Boo Boos can put it away with one more win here.
Match point.
And they definitely want to. Memphi has this operator online, and if you go to overtime, although yes, you can buy an operator, everyone's credits are stuck at 5,000, and so it's enough to buy an operator, but really nothing else, and so it puts you in an awkward position in terms of having low health and very little utility, which can be fine for a Jet, but it's not necessarily optimal. So we'll see how Jet decides to utilize that and push forward. Gonna pull out the operator and take a stance mid, maybe not actually, rotating a little bit off. The attackers, however, Aldrone comes out, tries to find some information. However, the rest of the team is already rotating off site, trying to catch the Honey Boo Boos off guard. The Slayers definitely want to try and find something, but Honey Boo Boos aren't moving. They are going to be starting to rotate off of A. They have a solid read on the situation. Viper doesn't want to move too soon, neither does the Sova. They're not going to make any aggressive changes to their
still
position.
Haven't begun. Actually, I spoke too soon again, as we do start to see a little bit of a rotation come out here from the Honey Boo Boo. So a little bit earlier than past rounds, as Memphi does take out Cypher here, get the double kill for Monkey. Prestige taking out Soup before Darkball and Dwala take out Prestige and Memphi. Make this a 3v2 favoring the Honey Boo Boos as the spike does go down. We will see Hunter's Fury come out here from Spook, finding no one, unfortunately, for the Honey Boo Boos. Just trying to get some recon, see where people are as they retake the site. The victory is within reach for them, so they definitely want this. Bit of an aggressive take here. Darkball takes down Kinetic before Spook takes down Delilah. And Vapor ends this 13-11. What a game, Eddie, as the Honey Boo Boos eke out a win here on Breeze.
Barely able to secure shutting down that comeback. The Honey Boo Boos had a really solid half, and you have to give credits to Darkball, who I believe went 24 and 15. By the end of that game, a really strong player and dominant in that latter half of the game. Utilizing that information extremely well, especially we saw in that last round, had the sonar dart in just the right spot, and it allowed for them to really take that site back and have the right information to get those kills.
Yeah, and what a close game. The Honey Boo Boos do win it. You know, those last two rounds looked a little decisive. They realized how close they were to actually winning, and they really just wanted to put it away. 13-11, though. What a great series. We're not done yet here with these Combine Showcase matches leading up to the Combine next week. In just a few minutes, we'll get to see the Slayers in action again, so they'll get to avenge their previous loss against Fishers, who we saw in Game 1, who also unfortunately lost to the Indiana Digital Learning Schools. So two teams looking to get a little bit ahead. This will be an interesting match, Eddie, because this is going to be the first match where we see a free agent team taking on a full high school roster. So this will be kind of interesting to see the dynamics between the two teams.
It will certainly be a time. I mean, it'll be interesting to see how sort of reactive play is going to go into that generally more standard play, right? You're going to have some set plays, some set strategies, but sometimes being able to react a little bit more is sometimes better, and so we'll see how those sort of play into each other.
We will see, but for now we are going to take a quick break, 5-minute break, as teams get into these lobbies. And when we're back, we're going to find out the map, and we're going to see some more high school Valorant action in this Esports Combine Showcase match. Don't go anywhere. Hello and welcome back to the Esports Combine Valorant Showcase matches. My name's Dan, this is Eddie. We've just seen two great matches on Ascent and Breeze. Now we're heading, it looks like, into Bind here as we're going to get to see our first combo match. Both of these teams, Fishers High School and the Slayers, both played in matches 1 and 2 respectively. Now we're going to be coming into our third game. Again, this is the Esports Combine Showcase matches for high school students looking to be recruited into collegiate programs in advance of this Esports Combine happening next week in Indianapolis. But for today, we're doing some production here on Ball State's campus for these showcase matches. So again, high school students looking to get into the collegiate action. We're right smack in the middle of it. Again, Fishers High School going to be taking on the Slayers here as we get ready to head into Bind. Eddie, we've seen these two teams play already. Both, unfortunately, were unable to come away with the wins in their respective first rounds. What do you think we might see here? Any changes, perhaps, in play styles? Do you think these teams might be a little bit more evenly matched? What do you got?
I think we're going to see a little bit of a difference in terms of team compositions. And I talked with you a little bit about this during the break, but sometimes we saw during Fisher's games, there would be moments where they really needed a flasher, and they didn't have those flashes. A player like KO or Sky in order to initiate onto those sites and fight. And so maybe we'll see that come out from Fishers having a flasher ready in order to take those sites. And from the other side, I'm not really sure. Slayers had a really good game, and so they're probably just a little bit bummed that they weren't able to take those fights near the end of their game, and they'll be playing something a little bit similar here. Of course, Bind and Breeze are very different maps, so we may see something a little bit different in terms of what they decide to play here. It looks like Slayers are on the defensive side here to start out.
Something to note with the Slayers, we are going to see a substitution. C9 Philip coming in for Dark Ball there. Dark Ball had a really good game on the side of Slayers in their previous matchup against the Honey Boo Boos. So curious how Philip is going to fit into this comp. Does Philip put them over the edge or maybe create some redundancies in a comp? Because again, like you were saying, Eddie, trying to figure out on these free agent teams how to work together, how to best plan your composition and capitalize on utility, and comboing that utility can be really challenging. But now the comps are locked in as we get into Bind. What are you seeing here?
It looks like we're seeing an Astra from the side of Slayers, a fantastic pickup. Astra can provide a lot of utility across the map, utilizing those smokes extremely well, as well as some pulls and some crowd control almost, to use a League of Legends term, which can definitely benefit the other side. We'll see, however, what it ends up being. Slayers have a pretty solid composition. From the side of Fishers, though, we are seeing the Omen again. Something that I noted, I was hoping we'd see a flasher from their side because they haven't played that, and so they're not going to be picking one up. The closest thing they have to flashes is that Reyna, and we'll see if Pyfie is able to make use of those blinds in order to engage onto sites quickly. But we'll see how they decide to play with that here. In terms of our buy round, we're seeing some ghosts on both sides. Pistols are pretty traditional for these teams heading into the first round. And already extremely quickly, Fishers are able to pick up a single kill. Bully McGuire taking out Soup. And that, Cypher, a solid
Spike
fight
planted.
in U-Haul is going to be taken. We'll see if they're able to find anything else. They're going to get the spike down.
Be faster.
However, on the backside, Deliawa, a powerful player, is going to get flashed by her own team. He's going to get the smoke down just in
Player
time, though.
standing.
However, they're able to hold so well. Philip trying to take another stance here is going to get double peeked and will fall. Fishers picking up a crucial first win.
And good first round there from Fishers, and they're going right back to it. The kind of what we saw in that first match was aggressive point takes. They're just going to line up on the point that they want to get into and take the site. And Eddie, maybe this is where blinds would be super useful, but they're seeming to want to go without it. Lay the smokes down, run in there, see what picks you can get. and then get that spike down is kind of their MO. We did see a really, I think, nice flank from B site by the Slayers, just unable to get the picks to really neutralize Fishers High School. And it looks like they're gonna, you know, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. As we do see Bully McGuire here leading Fishers High School onto A site.
Spike
Plant
planted.
goes down as Pie Feet picks up a double there. Fisher's looking to be in control of this site.
enemy remaining.
Another pick there for Bully McGuire as they're en route to their first flawless of the tournament. Spoke too soon. Monkey taken down. The save there, but Fishers High School will wrap it up with their second round win.
Yeah, I mean, it's clear that this team has a strategy moving on to these sites. Like you said, they're putting those smokes down, and they're putting them down in just the right spots. They have a plan, and then they move forward quickly and efficiently. The way that Bully McGuire has absolutely dominated this U-Haul position both rounds in a row is crucial. I mean, U-Haul provides so much agency over that A site, and so they're going to play towards A site again. I assume they're going to make a similar play. McGuire, however, going towards Showers this time. Wants to take control here, gets flashed out. Monkey is going to take out 2 before falling. That's going to put Fishers at a deficit. We'll see how they decide to continue pushing here.
This is the first real resistance Fishers has faced since this game has started. Normally they're able to just take site fairly easily, but the Slayers changing up a little bit about their defense to kind of stop that aggression seems to work now, as Fishers kind of put in a position where they have to reassess and rotate over to B site, but Dilawa kind of lurking back there and Spawn able to provide a little bit of resistance as Soup does take down Pyfie, and now Fishers High School sort of in a desperate situation, Eddie, as they are about to get pinched here onto B site without a lot of recourse other than just hoping to outgun the Slayers here.
Simply with 2 people left alive, it is difficult to make a push here, especially onto a site that seems fully stacked. Might try and make a play for a rotate, but with a kill onto Cypher, that chamber is going to be denied. That utility, see if they're able to find anything else. Soup does take out 1, and we'll see. Oh, Phillip able to secure that kill onto Agent or Giggle, and that's going to be a first round to the Slayers. And that is a round that we expect to see go their way. We've talked a lot about the economy, and since they did have those rifles, they're pretty secured in that round.
Exactly. We were seeing Fishers High School come out with their round 2 loadout, so a lot of SMGs, Stingers, but Slayers being able to buy rifles gave them a little bit more firepower there, but also they just played that defense really well, kind of snuffing out the aggression from Fishers High School as they do look to change things up a bit and take B here, as Fishers with their characteristic aggression. Bully McGuire trading with Monkey there, as Soup does take out Beamed in 4K, and it does look like the Slayers are going to get a pretty distinct advantage here with just 1 left. EF is going to have to make some decisions, Eddie.
Wants to find 1 more. Soup pushing up forward just enough, doesn't peek the right angle. Jeff is going to get that kill, rotates off site. However,
and it might be for naught, as the Slayers are already set up on A. I don't know if Yef knows this, and it doesn't seem like he does. He walks right into the sightlines of Cypher before going down. It was a good idea, but the Slayers prepared for that rotation.
They were definitely ready, and now we're sitting 2-2. A solid even start here, but Fishers is going to be stuck on an economy buy. Picking up a Spectre, maybe a Phantom if Pyfie really wants to go for that. We'll see what they end up ending this buy round with. It's going to be awkward no matter what. But with Pyfie, a very dominant play so far. And
talk about dominant there as the headshot coming out for Pyfie. Fishers again taking A side much like they did early on in this game. Spike going down, Phillip taking out Agent Ergigal. taking out a double, so maybe the substitution is just what Slayers needed to get their first W, as Philip seems to have a knack for hitting heads, Eddie.
He certainly does. Chamber wants to find something here. With the Viper utilizing that snake bite, is going to get the spike down.
A.
Now it's definitely difficult for Fishers. They're going to have a hard
One enemy
time.
remaining.
Slayers in a solid position here.
You know,
Looks like a small
1v4, it's going to
teleport.
be tough here for Fishers, especially on that Omen. Not a lot of, utility here to really get much done on A site, and especially not being able to access the spike changes things a little bit, but not for Soup. Soup getting a quick headshot there on Beamed in 4K to give them their first lead of the game. 3-2, Slayers, 3 straight wins?
Yeah, that's 3 straight wins in a row, and the Slayers are sitting pretty. However, the economy is about even for both sides. Of course, if Fishers lose this round, their economy is going to be rough. However, they do have Vandals and full shields. So they are doing fine. It looks like their utility is about even as well. So we'll see if they're able to utilize that. I mean, we've seen how Slayers can sort of come online as soon as their guns do. But Fishers may be able to try and find something here. We've talked a little bit about the differences between these two teams. Fishers is a full high school team, so they do have the opportunity to have set plays and solid moves that they generally do. However,
Spike down
the
A.
Slayers are so strong here.
I know
with
exactly
picking up,
where
3 kills in this half. They may be lone agents. They may be just some high schoolers
One
here
enemy
banded
remaining.
together, but with Diliawa and Cypher clearing out the site, it is clear that they have the potential to take this game.
Yeah, Eddie, and I think, the Slayers they're becoming more cohesive. Obviously, the more that this team plays together in this showcase tournament, I feel the better they're gonna get. Because after seeing what they did their first time playing with each other, going 13 or 11 to 13 in their first game, this team can pick up wins, and the cohesion's going to keep coming together for them. So they're going to become more dangerous as this game goes on. And now with their 4th straight win, definitely a bit of an advantage in the economy, as we do see some a Sheriff here on the side of Fishers having to take a little bit of a cheaper buy here. It's going to make things a little bit more difficult when it comes to firepower, as Fishers is going to try to set up for this A site take in classic fashion here, but Pifey unable to lay any damage in there. Slayer's just going to be able to repel him. Cypher getting the wall bang to take out Pifey, and that's not what you wanted if you're Fishers. And Bully McGuire going down to Phillip. Things falling apart here a little bit for Fishers High School.
It really is, especially with Bully McGuire going down. That's your power player. That's your entry fragger. That's going to make it so much harder to push onto site. Bandit 4K about to find someone here, but Liawa gets the kill. And now Phillip does get caught out. Double peek. The res comes through. This is now about even with Bully McGuire being one of the stronger players. However, Cypher, if he wants to use that chamber ultimate, the tour de force is powerful and can
30
deny
seconds left.
that push. There's no flashes that are able to come through. However, this Sage Wall comes out. Hopefully, time to save some, but
One
train
enemy
comes through.
remaining.
And now Monkey picking up 2 kills, defending the site and winning the round. Sitting at 5-2. The Slayers are looking pretty solid.
Pretty solid, I think, is the right way to put it. This team is coming up on 4 ultimates, a good economy. They let those first 2 rounds go, but, for those of you that follow Ball State's Valorant team, we had a knack of never winning pistol rounds or those subsequent round 2s, and then still winning most of our games. So, those first 2 rounds are really sort of unique when it comes to Valorant, and it shows that, the Slayers are able to kind of forge back and really take advantage here. As Phillip gets a quick pick on the Pifey, and Yef also falls for Fishers High School. So things already looking bleak in this round 8 as Slayers look to press their advantage. Soup taking down Beamed in 4K. It's going to be very difficult for Fishers to get much
One
done
enemy
here. We
remaining.
do see Bully McGuire go down. Things are looking dire as Soup ends this round, make it 6-2 Slayers.
A flawless round is exactly what they need. I mean, they're going to be pushing forward now with some solid guns, and the economy of Fishers is in a tough position. They are able to secure some solid rifles for this round, but just looking at the numbers, you can tell Slayers are way above them, sitting at 8,000, 7,000 gold for most of them. It's really a solid amount of credits that you can fall back on for a couple of rounds, especially if you're getting these kills like they are. And sitting 6-2, they have a really solid momentum going for them. See if they're able to pick up anything here, and they do pick up lots,
Spike
denying the
down B.
push onto B site. We'll see if Monkey is going to be able to spot the rest of the team. Bully McGuire pushing out onto site, already trying to get the plant down potentially.
Last
See if anything
player
is found, but
standing.
from the back site, Cypher cleans up Bully McGuire, getting that last kill, 7-2. A 5-round deficit is difficult to come back from, but we haven't switched sides yet. So we'll see what they do on the attacking half, and if they're able to get as many wins as they are right now.
Yeah, it's a tough spot right now for Fishers. As you mentioned, the economy so much favoring the side of the Slayers that they can afford to win a round or lose a round or two here. These have been really quick rounds. These between these two teams, we're seeing action on site almost immediately after the round begins. It might benefit Fishers to slow things down a little bit as Yef does fall to the opposing Jet. Soup picking up Bully McGuire. Fishers in another bad spot as two members go down really before they're able even to make a play. As we are going to potentially see a B push here, and Monkey denies that as well, and the Slayers look to be in complete control.
They just need to be
One enemy
Deliawa
remaining.
trying to find Agent Ergiggle. That's a second flawless in a row. The Slayers are so strong right now. Such a dominant team. I mean, the way that they're playing this defense, the nice thing about defense is you don't necessarily have to have those set plays. You just have to have solid mechanical skills to deny these pushes, and that's exactly what they're doing. They have a nice setup that they've been relying on, and they're just letting Fishers push into them. And like you said, Fishers needs to slow it down, but it's hard to slow down a team when Deliawa is just dashing in as soon as possible at you. It's scary almost.
Get out of my way.
See how this player's playing. Gonna try and find an aggressive angle here. However, all of Fishers deciding to go through showers. That's a tough spot to be in for C9 Phillip. Pifey able to get a kill, but Deliawa on the other side is there. Trying to find one. Wants to find another, but the plant not quite safe.
Spike down.
Ergiggle goes down. Now,
Enemy remaining.
Cypher in a solid angle picks up 2 more kills. That's a 7-round deficit. Just
Last round
absolutely
in the half.
massive snowball. Fishers are in an awkward spot. They're going to have to find a different way to push here.
Yeah, and Eddie, I think you hit the nail on the head here. You know, the way the Slayers are playing is very much, you know, again, I know you used a League of Legends term earlier, and I'm going to go ahead and do the same. They're playing a very catch-oriented defense here. They know where one member of Fishers will be, the whole team will be right behind them. So, you know, it's very easy to pick up on what the plan is as soon as you get a little bit of intel, because they do like to stack that point. So, for instance, the Slayers now know it's a B-side push. And we do see Soup take down Ergiggle, but not before Bully McGuire takes out Monkey. Soup picking up a second, and things again looking to be going the way of the defense. Maybe speaking too soon as Pifey and Beamed in 4K pick up 2 here. Maybe it was the B push they needed all along. As we are going to see Pifey take down the Slayers Jet there, and it's all up to Phillip. Can they take it home here? And they are able to get Pifey, making it a 1v2. Things are getting tight here. Is he able to clutch it out? Phillip with 1 and 2. Phillip is going to get a 3-piece here to bring us 10-2. What a play there by Phillip, going into the half with a commanding lead here for the Slayers team.
I mean, you don't always expect it from the Viper,
Switching
a
sides.
controller who's designed a little bit more to play defensively. Sometimes that player is a little bit smarter than they are mechanically skilled, but Philip obviously proving us wrong and showcasing a solid amount of mechanical skill. Still putting down that Viper wall in a nice spot in order to make a push here. Has a lineup available for a nice A site take. I mean, that's the nice thing about playing on a team that that hasn't worked together too much is once you if you do have these lineups available to you, you can essentially say, hey, I have a solid lineup. We're gonna go for an A site take. Be prepared for it. We do see a wall comes up, which makes it a little bit more difficult to push. The dog doesn't find too much information for Sky. However, on the opposite side, Monkey falls to Pyfie. He's not able to find anything else here. Deliawa is going to catch Urgilgle. Does find one. He's going to have to find a way to get out, but doesn't. As Bully McGuire and Beamed in 4K pick up a couple of extra
One
kills,
enemy
and
remaining.
now they all fall. Fishers picking up another solid round. And like you said, they're winning these pistols, but they're going to have to translate into that into victories later in the game.
Well, the good news for Fishers is winning that pistol round, gives them a distinct advantage in this second round here, as they're able to do a soft buy and get some of those shotguns, get some of those Spectres, give them a little bit more strength when it comes to damage. And, if they're able to get one here, they'll be in an even better spot going into later rounds as, the economy will start to get set up. And we do see a wall here go down on mid here as Agent Urgilgle was looking to hold down this push here from the side of Slayers. Slayers taking an more interesting attack here than what we've seen from Fishers. Bully McGuire does get a little bit more of a default push. Not really telegraphing where the spike is, what their intentions are. Oh, as we do see Agent Urgilgle go down. A lot of G's in that sentence, as it does look like the Slayers will get a bit of an advantage here and start to press that as they look to take A site.
They certainly want to take it here. It's Viper caught in an awkward position. Doesn't want to push too fast or too quickly. Utilizes that wall and is going to push safely into a different angle. But Pyfie is in a nice spot. Throws the rest of the team off guard. Slayers are certainly in a tough spot. Philip able to pick up a kill at the end of that half. Cypher getting to rotate through. So does Viper. Goes through.
We are going to see this B site
30
play.
seconds left.
This is kind of what I was thinking. This chamber was kind of hovering B site before the full rotation. Able to rotate back out using the teleporters. Fisher's Road getting over there quickly. Try to take this site. We are going to see a defuse now. Maybe get it halfway before defending, or maybe the full defuse. Nobody there to stop. C9 Philip picks up Pyfie, but right after Cypher is able to get beamed in 4K, and Slayers pick up another one, making it 11-3. That one was close. Fisher's almost had the defuse.
They did, but Philip knew exactly where to shoot, got a headshot. Also utilized that snake bite, a little pool of acid that Viper can use to tack on a little bit of extra damage, is going to secure that round. A smart play from Philip to wait just a little bit and throw him off guard. And now, it looks like we're seeing a little bit of a heavier A push here. Cypher is going to be taken into showers just a little bit. Doesn't want to push up too far into it, though. Sage wall does come through, but they're just going to peek over it. They're moving so fast. Slayers are something to be wary of as they take control of site. We're sitting at 3-3. That Reyna's low. Pyfie isn't going to be able to do too much here unless this Reyna can get a kill, heal off of it. He's going to spray through the smoke, but doesn't find anything. That position's revealed. They know where the Reyna is, especially after utilizing those eyeballs, and Tang falls. Deliawa securing that kill. We'll see if they can find anything else here. This Cypher is in a tough spot. That snake bite doing plenty of damage. Now has a hard time peeking out. It's going to get timing by Deliawa, who takes out him and beamed in 4K all in one go. And a solid thumbs up as they reach match point.
And it was interesting there. Obviously, Fisher's not committing to a buy, saving their credits for this round. That's why we saw a lot of pistols and some shorties, really because they just wanted to save their credits so they could do a full buy going into this last round on match point here. And Slayers realizing that, played much more aggressive than what we've seen in past rounds between these two teams. Realizing they had the firepower advantage and just kind of rolling over Fishers there. But now things much more even when it comes to the actual loadouts. As Bully McGuire is going to get a quick headshot there on the Monkey, but not before Agent Ergagol goes down to Slayer's Jet as well. Things are looking to get hot fast here as the Slayers make a quick push onto A. Bully McGuire not going to give up any ground to Soup. And Beamed in 4K taking down Philip. So Fisher's in a good spot here if they want to take this round, as it now is a 4v1 just up to Cypher on this chamber to figure out how to close this one out for the Slayers.
They found my trap.
It appears as if Cypher is simply going to save that gun, keep a little bit of extra money for him as he ends this round. He's going to just wait a little bit.
Yeah, and that's normally what you'll see. We talked a little bit about saving in earlier games, and this is really the first chance we've seen that. A lot of aggressive play between the matches we've seen so far. This is the first time we've really seen this save technique come out. He does pick up one on Pyfie. What a shot there from Cypher. Looking to get some cleanup and make that two. Maybe he's not going to save after. Oh, Beamed in 4K takes him down, but taking down two members of Fisher might be worth it.
I mean, it definitely gives that econ a little bit of an edge, especially with how well they've been doing in terms of the economy. But also, I think at a certain point, Cypher just realized, this is a showcase match. I'm here to show off my skills. I want some college recruiters to see what I'm doing. And yeah, I'm going to go out and I'm going to click some heads. I'm going to get a couple extra kills for this round. Make my KDA look a lot nicer. And maybe I'll get picked up by a team. Who knows?
Exactly. And, the economy being about the same for the Slayers. You could take that risk here as they're still able to do just about a complete full buy here. So they're almost at full strength as Bully McGuire here gonna look to hold this aggressive angle, not being able to find the shots, though giving up his position is gonna make it really difficult, dashing away before the Cypher is able to take down Bully. And members of Fisher now are just seeming to fall all over the place as Slayers look to wrap this one up. Maybe not, though, as Pyfie comes in with their second kill here, pushing out onto site, trying to make the difference. Soup cleans him up, and we're seeing some low health bars on the side of Slayers here, so potentially no. Agent Ergagol goes down to Monkey, and that'll do it for game 3. Slayers coming through with their first win of the showcase. What a game, Eddie.
It was definitely dominant. I mean, Slayers taking control of the end of that game especially. I mean, you have to give it over. The top player of that game was Deliawa, getting some solid entry frags and making sure that his team was able to take those sites and play as quickly as they wanted to. I mean, they really just tried to move into sites as fast as possible, and it worked extremely well.
Yeah, I think that, it was back and forth really in the early stages, but Slayers showing why they went the distance with Honey Boo Boos there. They're able to play, I think, a more complete game than what we were seeing from Fishers. Fishers, the attack strategy, while it worked some cases, Slayers were able to just pick up on it. That over-aggression really allowed them to kind of just sit back on defense and pick up some round wins. So Slayers able to pick up the win and go 1-1 on the day. But that's not it. We just wrapped up our third game of this National Esports Combine Showcase match for Valorant. We're going to be going into Game 4, and this is one that I have circled on my schedule. This is the Indiana Digital Learning Schools taking on the Honey Boo Boos. For those of you that weren't tuned in, Indiana Digital Learning Schools went 13-4 against Fishers, who we just saw go down to the Slayers. And then Honey Boo Boos came and took a 13-11 victory over those very same Slayers. So 2 1-0 teams, the battle of the undefeated teams going into Game 4 here. Really excited. We saw some great play out of both of these teams. Taps and Light Hose. I think leading the way on INDLS, and then
Mm-hmm.
getting to see Kinetic and Vapor again on the side of Honey Boo Boos. This should be a really fun matchup.
It definitely should. I want to see what these players decide to pick. I mean, if we see Kinetic on that Reyna again, it's going to be dominant, but taps you got to be wary of, especially with Lighthose, who's also extremely dominant. But we saw Lighthose play that Sofa, and when you're a dominant fragger on a character who's designed to help out your teams, it can be absolutely devastating. And so we'll see how that plays into their strategies as we watch these teams go up against each other. It should be a good time. We are getting close to the map ban phase, and we'll see what these players decide to pick in terms of their maps. It can be a little bit interesting, but I mean, deciding where you want to play these maps is going to indicate how you play that game and what characters you decide to play, what comps we want to run. And so we'll see how they decide to play those.
No, exactly. And I think that hopefully we get to see even a fourth unique map. So far we've seen Ascent, we've seen Breeze, we've seen Bind. Hopefully we see another different map here because, again, winning is great, but being able to showcase your skill sets is really why we're here. And the best way to get to showcase your ability to adapt and how versatile you are as a player is to play on different maps, playing different agents, playing different comps and play styles is what we'll be looking for. So hopefully we change it up again, get some new agents in, get some new maps, some new gameplay to be able to further understand how these players are able to do in these types of environments.
It will be interesting. We do see a couple of bans come out. Bind, Breeze, Fracture, Haven, Ascent, and it looks like we're going to be playing on a map that I have wanted to see all day. We're going to be playing on Icebox. This map can be really interesting, and depending on how your team plays with each other, it can have some really interesting strategies. In terms of character picks, though, we're definitely going to be seeing some Vipers and Sages. So we'll see. We'll see how Honey Boo Boos and Indiana Digital Learning School decide to play into these teams. It'll certainly be a time. I mean, it can definitely impact how we play this. It looks like the Honey Boo Boos are going to be starting out on defense, and Indiana Digital Learning School is going to be starting on the attacker's side.
So as we wait for this lobby to get formed, I'm really excited to get into this game because, Eddie, you said it. I'm excited to see Icebox myself. We're seeing a lot of variety in maps. We played on Breeze, a very wide open map. Some great long sight lines. Now Icebox, the smallest map I think in the game. Much tighter, requires a whole different skill set, a whole different play style. These things we were just mentioning to succeed on Icebox than it does on any other map. So it's going to be exciting to get to see both of these teams display what they've got. Again, this is the INDLS, Indiana Digital Learning Schools, taking on the Honey Boo Boo. So again, we're seeing that dynamic between a high school team taking on a team of free agent high school players, maybe from a whole bunch of different high schools across the country coming together to form this one team taking on this established team. So again, that dynamic is really interesting to me to see how those teams play because the Slayers, that free agent team, were able to take down Fishers in that last game, a more organized team familiar with each other. So, maybe it's 2 for 2. Maybe the Honey Boo Boos are able to give INDLS a run for their money.
We'll see what they're able to do. I mean, this could be definitely. We'll definitely see some interesting approaches. I mean, if you're playing on a team that you've never played with before, you could be making calls, essentially, that are more reactive. And I said this before, but especially on Icebox, you do want to be reacting to these plays. You want to make sure that you're fluid, especially on the defensive side. If you're seeing people push A, you're going to want to focus a little bit more on A, maybe move your players on B towards mid. But as soon as you hear that rotate or see the potential for a rotate, you're going to move back. So having that fluidity and that solid communication is going to be it's going to be important. It's going to be essential to how they play this game. especially considering they're starting on the defensive side. We'll see how they decide to play with that.
Exactly. We are going to load into Icebox here. So we're finally going to get answers to all of these questions that we're trying to figure out what's going to happen here. And again, we are going to see INDLS on that attacker side and the Honey Boo Boos defending as the comps start to get hovered here. Any surprises so far?
So far, nothing that's thrown me off too much. I mean, playing the Jet Reyna double duelist composition isn't too different from what we normally see. Reyna is a really strong champion, especially on Icebox, because of those close corners. I mean, you take a kill and then you can dismiss away. The other part of overhealing is that you can instead use that soul orb to essentially get out safely. So we'll see if they utilize that. I'm hoping to see, it was hovered, but it isn't being picked. It looks like that Chamber. Chamber is certainly a powerful pick on this map, and it actually looks like from the attacker's side, we're going to get Chamber locked in for Coke. Armstrong boys playing that Viper, a classic pick. Sova, and then the Jet Reyna double duelist combination. That is a solid play. I mean, sometimes you see the Chamber and Sage are
Select your agent.
essentially switched out for each other, being these Sentinels, and it looks like on the other side we're seeing that Sage. We'll see if Kinetic decides to lock in the Chamber, which we do see potentially playing a more aggressive Chamber, considering they only have one duelist on that side, the Reyna. So it should be interesting. I'm going to be honest, I sort of favor Digital Learning School's play or composition a little bit more, considering they have that double duelist. The Jet can be definitely devastating, but I don't want to count Honey Boo Boos out just yet. Having that Chamber play a more duelist style can be impactful.
Yeah, and you have to remember, both of these teams, had really strong showings in their first game. So, a loss or a win could certainly come down to, a more advantageous comp for this map. However, I think these players have a decent grip on, their agents. Maybe, you're just stronger on one, because sometimes it really comes down to personal preference. If you're able to just do more on a champ, even if it doesn't necessarily fit, as we are going to see the opening round here between INDLS and the Honey Boo Boos, as we are going to see INDLS begin this assault onto A point. Kinetic getting a quick shot onto Risk Asuna is going to give the Honey Boo Boos a bit of an advantage on this defense, but it's not going to stop taps, and INDLS as they get right into it, and Spook takes him down, and now it's the 3v5.
3v5 on the attacker's half on this A site is scary to be in. Oh, two more fall, and that's an instant flawless. The Honey Boo Boos are looking pretty strong. Like you said, I mean, they may not have those set plays, but maybe they'll be able to react and play dominantly. I said on the defensive half that's going to favor them, considering they can potentially be a little bit more fluid. That's exactly what happened. They rotated at just the right time, and none of them fall.
We are going to see some purchasing power here from the defenders, as we do see a Marshall and a Judge and a Stinger come out, as opposed to the complete classic lineup on the side of INDLS, clearly wanting to save. So it's going to be a tough round. Maybe they can get an early pick here and kind of make things easier for him. Nope, it's going to be Honey Boo Boos taking out Coke. And now they're going to be playing at a disadvantage. So kind of what they set up for by not really buying anything, Eddie. But definitely this Honey Boo Boos team is coming out strong early on.
They're coming out strong, but not without a couple of kills for the attacking side. Indiana Digital Learning School trying to pick up a couple more, but now a 3v1. Risk Asuna in an awkward position. Prestige knows where he is. Has the Spectre. Is going to be a little bit fancy, spinning around in a couple of circles before shooting down Risk Asuna and securing that round. We're now sitting 2-0, but the attackers, Indiana Digital Learning School, they have the Vandals online. They have the rifles ready to take these angles. We'll see where they decide to push here. I'd like to think that they're going to take a stance at B, but it looks like they're focusing heavily towards A.
And we are seeing, a lot of pinging, through mid from both teams. So clearly it's an area both have their eye on, as Memphis does seem to try to lock down anything happening in mid, but it is going to be an A push for INDLS, and they're making some decent ground getting to the site here. Honey Boo Boo's, in my opinion, maybe not rotating quick enough, as INDLS does take site, and Memphis does fall, but not before he was able to take out Coke. But now a flurry of trades. It's a 3v2 setup favoring INDLS. Make that a 3v1. Spike down on A side. Prestige, all up to them to bring this home.
Able to pick up that rifle, though. If he's able to take some 1v1s, he's going to have some solid information. Takes out the Sova Dart. They don't know where he is. They don't have the perfect information. That dart gives you... The wall is going to come through. The defuse might go up, but instantly shot down. Had to wait until that wall fully went up. A little too antsy there. And the round goes over to Indiana Digital Learning School.
The idea was good. Prestige was in a spot to really... it was a difficult situation, but the wall, saving the wall for that, but just not waiting for it to solidify. Had they had waited, they might get a half defuse there. Maybe could get another pick and then close it out. Who knows? It was a difficult situation to begin with. Both teams, though, now completely equipped with rifles. So it'll be definitely our first real even matchup since round 1, when it was just pistols. Now both teams completely online here. We're going to see another A push on the side of INDLS. If it, again, if it ain't broke, don't fix it. Because this team has succeeded in getting to the point both times as Coke takes down Memphis. It's going to be another quick approach on the side of INDLS.
They have some information. They know where Kinetic is. But they do have a deficit of players just by 1. Plant going to try to go down, but Risk gets a kill. Prestige trades it out. 3-2. Taps is going to have to make something here. So will Lighthose. Now it's just up to Lighthose, who does fall. Kinetic getting a solid 3 kills. Is going to secure that round. And now that's another round for the defensive side. Considering they both had rifles, this essentially puts them in a solid position.
Yeah, and this defending team, with this advantage, is going to make it a little bit harder. And INDLS, they look so good up against Fishers, and now they're running into some decent competition. These teams, definitely been going back and forth, but the Honey Boo Boo is just able to inch out some victories here. Now they're in a great spot as we look at this economy. It's full rifles and shields versus 1 rifle and some pistols, so it's going to be a definite tough round here for these attackers, as they're going to have to try to break through this really, really strong setup from the Honey Boo Boos.
Taps moving in, wants to find something on B quickly. Not going to utilize too much. The Aldrin came through, but didn't find enough. However, Prestige just got out, takes tons of damage. He's going to have to utilize that heal. Risk Austin utilizing those knives. Trying to find something else, but man, this Viper is just denying so much information. It makes it so much harder to push up onto this site. MP turn around towards 2. That player has already fallen. Vapor trying to find something through that wall.
A bit of a stalemate right now as both teams trying to figure out what the other might be trying to do. This is the slowest we've really seen a round take. Clearly INDLS wants to take a different approach here. Slow things down, maybe try to get a pick, get some information, but it's too late. Memphis does take down Lighthose. Now it's going to be a 3v5 favoring the Honey Boo Boos, as INDLS is about to get surrounded from all angles, putting them in a really difficult position here. They're going to have to figure something out, make some kind of play before it's too late. So we do see some Viper utility come in as they make their approach to try to get this spike down. Honey Boo Boos begin circling. Eddie, my palms are sweating.
10 seconds left.
9-2.
1 enemy remaining.
And
down, B.
it all falls down. A flawless for Honey Boo Boos. It is gonna essentially put it's gonna put INDLS in an awkward situation. They're gonna have to find a different way to approach here. They've tried pushing A and B site, but they're not utilizing their utility in perfect ways, and they're not able to push onto site because of that. I mean, if you want to enable taps, you're going to have to find some sort of engagement. I talked earlier about a lack of flashes, and that's what we're seeing from both sides. Yet on the defensive half, that doesn't matter as much, and so it makes it really difficult for the attackers. It's making it difficult for Taps to find a space here, but Taps does. Spook, however, backing up is going to make it a little bit more difficult. They know that there's one more player here, but they're not able to get that kill. That means that Spook's still alive. Spook can play for that retake.
We do see the Viper wall come down, and INDLS has pretty solid control over this A site. It's going to be difficult for, and as I say that, Prestige takes down Lighthose. And we do see the Hunter's Fury come in here from Spook. As I misspoke, the Honey Boo-Boos retake this site rather easily. INDLS had such a good setup after taking A site. I really thought the Honey Boo-Boos were going to have to, play it slow and really kind of suss out a way onto that point. But no, you don't have to do that when you can just click heads and take out the enemy one by one. Honey Boo-Boos now with 3 straight wins, making it 5-1. As their defense looks incredibly strong on Icebox.
It is, I mean, to an extent, you're just sort of waiting for a little bit. You're waiting to utilize utility and make sure that you're able to retake well.
Let's play.
But yeah, sometimes a kill functions just as much as utility. And because of that, they're able to get those kills and move in onto that site and retake extremely well. And here we see Taps pushing up just a little too far. Memphi gets that kill, a couple of extra ones, however, gets traded out. Coke utilizing a fantastic ultimate here. The Tour de Force is devastating. Spook can try to find them there. Target is hit, but not quite found. Asuna peeks out. A solid click with the Sheriff. We're sitting at a minute left in the half. In the round, I mean. 5-1.
Some equalized trades coming through on both teams. Again, INDLS taking it slow. We did see some faster takes earlier, but clearly that wasn't working too well from them. So they're trying to be a little bit more methodical as we do see some gunfight exchange, but nothing too for either side to really worry about. We do see some Sage slows coming down, some utility coming on the point, trying to slow down INDLS
30 seconds left.
at least make this plant more difficult for them. But it's not going to deter them as Lighthose takes down Kinetic and Prestige trades out with Coke to make it a 2v2. It's a tough spot now for Prestige, giving up their location as INDLS.
One enemy remaining.
Vapor coming to the rescue, taking out Lighthose and before going down to risk Asuna. It's going to be a 1v1 here. Prestige with only 19 health, having to use that heal, maybe stop the plant, unable to. A pure 1v1. Time is on the side of the attacker here, so Prestige is going to have to figure something out if the Honey Boo-Boos want to win this round.
They're just walking around in circles, and Asuna is able to spot him out. It's a solid flick back, and that's a thrifty for the attackers, and a solid round to deny a snowball from the Honey Boo-Boos. If Indiana Digital Learning School are able to utilize that momentum, they're going to be able to pick up a few extra wins here. Now, it looks like they're still going to be focusing heavily on this A site here. It is pretty traditional. I mean, you're going to push A site as quickly as possible. And then if you get caught out, if you're in an awkward position, you'll just back up and push towards B. But it actually looks like we are going to see a B push. They fully rotate over to this side. Chamber trying to find an angle to peek out here. Prestige in a solid spot. They're probably not expecting an angle so high. Vapor, however, getting the first kill. Put in a solid position, and they weren't expecting it as Coke falls. Now Lighthose falls as well. The Jet just able to take it out, but not without Vapor. Completely trading that. 3 kills for the round. Defenders are now sitting at 6-2. Pushing B site was a mistake, apparently.
What a great spot there from Honey Boo-Boo's Viper. I haven't really ever seen that kind of hype before, Eddie. Like you said, like You can't even think to look there. It's completely off your screen when you turn that first corner.
I know, it's incredibly smart to utilize that Sage Wall to get up to a height that people don't expect you to be at. And especially because the Sage Wall was peeking out just enough that he could essentially edge along there and move out a little bit further to take a slightly aggressive stance. Now here we see, though, they're going to be playing closer towards A site. We'll see what Taps decides to do here. Is caught out. Kinetic just a little bit too far forward with that operator. He's going to lose that money, lose that utility. Now Asuna getting 2 kills with the knives. Has the Vandal ready. Prestige, the only one left alive, is caught in an awkward position as Coke rotates back to the end of the site. Gets teleported up and taken down by Prestige.
And I feel like this is a scenario we've seen Prestige in before. It seems all too common. This player is the last to remain from the Honey Boo Boos, or among one of the last, having to play to save this round. It's entirely possible. We've seen this team do it before, and they do actually get the res off there onto Memphi to even this fight out. They are on top of the spike here. So we are going to see another good Sage Wall come down. Going to get potentially the defuse, but Lighthose with the Hunter's Fury able to take Prestige out. And again, it's a 1v2 spike going down. There's no time left. They have to get it off, and unable to. So INDLS taking another round off the Honey Boo Boos, really through some great time management.
Incredibly smart post plant there, playing just off the sites. Even though the Sage Wall came up, it wasn't enough to stop them. Great use, although we see it fairly often. It was a great use of the Sova ultimate to push them off of that defuse, and an incredibly smart play.
Let's go.
To secure the round. I mean, trying to get that defuse quickly is difficult, especially when you're pushing up into a 2v2. You never know exactly what angles to push, but now, again on the A site, Coke getting a solid first kill is going to open up this site a little bit. However, the rotate comes through, and now it's a lot more difficult. They're going to have to be wary. There are 2 people on site. Spook holding a solid angle. Doesn't want to push them any further. Coke, however, getting that kill.
Hands is just too much as Taps takes down 2 to end this round. And INDLS on a bit of a roll here. Able to get quick picks and then getting the spike down there at the very end despite eliminating the enemy team. INDLS, really starting to mount a comeback here, winning the last 2 rounds in a row, bringing it 6-4 as we start to near halftime. This could potentially be a 6-6 halftime and really going back to even to start the side swap.
Exactly, they're doing a solid comeback here. We'll see if they're able to make use of this. Armstrong Boys wants to have a solid setup in mid. Potentially that's where they're pushing here. They are focusing heavily onto the A site, like we normally see. Memphi, though, has this ultimate online, which, if utilized well, if he gets these solid frags, is going to do tons of damage. Kinetic also utilizing his ultimate, Tour de Force, which we've seen come out in full force. A solid trade coming out quickly. We'll see what Kinetic is able to do here. Is going to get caught in an awkward position, but does take out Taps. The plant goes down. Kinetic is going to have to find a way to move a little bit forward here. Light hose up top is going to try and find something else. 3 players left alive. Prestige takes out 1 and another.
Great team play there from Honey Boo Boos. Almost seemed like INDLS was just missing spotting some of these Honey Boo Boos players positioned around A site. From our casting perspective, of course, we can see the outlines, we can see the full map, but the players themselves cannot. So it's always, we're always holding our breath as 2 players staring at each other through walls, not realizing the other is there, staring back at them. And INDLS just missing positioning of 2 or 3 players on Honey Boo Boos there, allowing the defense to really retake point, get those eliminations before defusing the spike. So now round 11, 1 round away before the swap, as we do see, as much utility as both teams can buy. Coke taking down Spook early on. Both teams are going to buy whatever they can, use whatever they can, any ultimates, anything, everything goes after this round, so both teams won't or shouldn't be holding back any utility. Light Hose taking down Kinetic, giving a 2-player lead on the side of INDLS as they look to start to rotate towards A side.
Trying to rotate that way. A solid trade comes through. 7-4. Memphi gonna pop the ultimate. We'll see if he can find Hose. Is gonna rotate around closer to A site. Smart move. Doesn't realize he's missing out on a player. Prestige, a solid headshot there.
Last player standing.
Now, a bit of an awkward position as Prestige is the only player left alive as the entire rest of INDLS rotate to B site.
The hunt begins.
Just try and find some information, but this is difficult for Prestige. Going into a 1v3, having to push onto the B site. It's an awkward site, and there are so many lines to be wary of. There are so many places where you can get caught out, so many angles that could be held.
Exactly. Prestige is no stranger to this situation, though. We've seen it time and time again. They're either one of or the last person on the side of this Honey Boo Boo squad, and with it being the side swap after this, no reason to save, and they're not going to even get the chances. Coke gets their 3rd kill this round to make it 7-5 as we go into side swap here. So now Honey Boo Boos are going to get to see or show what they can do on the attack, while INDLS gets to pivot into that defense. 7-5 is very close. So this could be either team's game. Both teams winning their first game, so proving that they have the skill to run away with this showcase. But, we're going to figure out after this game who the top team is. And so far, they're both putting out a case for why it should be them.
They certainly are. But we'll see what they're able to pull out on the attacker's side. Honey Boo Boos have been extremely fluid, and I'm expecting to see a bit of variability in their attacker's half. I mean, the way that they've been playing defense has been pretty fluid, and they've obviously been communicating extremely well. And we'll see if they're able to come up with anything somewhat on the spot as they move into this next round.
And they are going to start to take this B side as we get some parallel Viper walls here to try to cut off some vision from both teams. All the attackers are going to get on B, and I believe we are going to see a plant here. Some health bars starting to fall a little bit on both sides as it's clear B site was the target. We are going to see the full rotation here from INDLS as the B site is pretty much locked down by these attackers with taps. Going to take down Vapor and get that overheal on the Reyna, while Prestige sets up here to get this spike down, wall down, Viper wall down. All the Viking utility coming down, the spike is planted, and now it's going to be up to INDLS to figure out how to get this spike diffused.
Trying to find an angle here. Tabs takes out the wall, is going to be able to squeeze through, fakes just a little bit. A lot of information from where their shots are coming from. Uses the dismiss so well, finds a way out, gets another, taps with 3, and finally they all fall. The defuse is going to come through, and that's INDLS with a solid defense there. Of course, going to put them in a solid position. Only 2 players left alive, but some solid money in their pockets as they go into the second round of the second half.
Yeah, and INDLS has done a good job so far on these pistol rounds. It's really, at least with the Honey Boo Boos, they seem to take over at that round 3. When they're able to get their guns, Honey Boo Boos are very dangerous. So INDLS has to realize these are the rounds they need to win, obviously, to get back in it. One more win, especially with the advantage that they have going into the second round after the side swap, will pull it even, especially as economies start to get figured out after this halftime.
Talked a little bit about their variability, and they are going to make a different push heading in towards the middle of the map. Mid on Icebox is a little bit different. It doesn't give you as much priority, and it actually is going to put them in a tough situation. 4 players falling instantly. That is tough.
Yeah, INDLS being able to just read that advance there really getting a great pinch, multiple angles of fire, and we are going to see a lurk here as the entire INDLS squad getting into position here to cut this Reyna off, and they're going to do it. First flawless of the match for INDLS to even things up 7-7. Both teams now with full economies. They'll be able to get some rifles if they wish, and full kit loadout. So it looks like we will see that at least on the side of the Honey Boo Boos. With INDLS taking that round so decisively, they are going to have to remain on those SMGs, those Stingers, and obviously get their full utility. So they are going to get a bit of a disadvantage going into this next round, but the way they're playing, you wouldn't know it.
Certainly. Now we see a solid push on the B site. Pushing up into Spectres on Icebox isn't the best situation to be in. Even if you do have some nicer rifles, it can be devastating how quickly these Spectres take you down with just a few body shots. However, they're going to be opting for some longer angles, playing more towards B and C, or more towards B and mid, excuse me. And now it looks like they're going to be pushing towards A. Nobody taking that higher angle just yet. The attackers definitely know that they have pressure if they are able to get some early kills, and that's what they're looking for, these long sight lines. See Memphi trying to push up quickly. Does Tack take a little bit of damage, but falls to Taps. He's going to push forward here. Like I said, these Spectres are worrisome, and Taps is the only one with the Vandal. 2 fall. Kinetic picking up quite a few kills there. 3-2. Plant is going to come down.
30 seconds left.
Is going to be
Spike planted.
Good position here, but gets caught out by Spook. And Armstrong Boy is the last one left alive. In a tough situation, now they all know where he is, and Kinetic is going to find that angle. Just the right spot. 8-7 as the attackers win that round.
And that's really where the gun difference can come into play. As we saw, the Honey Boo was able to get those rifles, while we did see INDLS kind of on those Spectres, a little bit less firepower, but now it's all coming through. So potentially, get a more even round out of things. But man, this game's just been going back and forth. 5 seconds away here from round 16, as Honey Boo Boos are going to look to create a little bit more distance. They have to be feeling it. INDLS came back strong as new Memphi takes down the INDLS Jet here. I'll give him a quick lead. That's exactly the opening the Honey Boo Boos needed here, getting onto A.
Certainly is. Honey Boo Boo is trying to get as much of a lead as possible. See if, another ridiculous headshot through 2 walls, just a tiny little angle threading the needle. And now the plant is going to go down off of that kill. A 4-2. Taps is in a tough situation. And now all that's left is the Viper. And that is a tough agent to have to retake with.
Yeah, they are going to go for a bit of a flank here, and it's not going to matter as Viper on Viper. The Honey Boo Boos Vapor is going to be able to take him out 9-7. Now things are going to start to take a little bit of an advantage, or a shape of advantage for the Honey Boo Boos, as they're able to kind of push this lead. These teams have been very close through the entirety of this match, but this is sort of the first window in the second half for the Honey Boo Boos to kind of create some distance. And we will see that in the loadouts, as we're seeing 3 Sheriffs and a Spectre on the side of INDLS. It's going to be tough to take this round, so they're going to be hoping that they get a couple of gift picks here, so they're able to snowball a win here. But for right now, Honey Boo Boos looking to be in complete control.
Really are. 9-7. Pushing up onto this B site. It's going to be a solid push. They have the Sage Wall ready. Get that plant down quickly. We'll see if they decide to do it. Take out the Sova Dart. Deny that information. Shark Boy's trying to find something here. Can't find anything. Isn't able to see. And because that Sage Wall is down, that's just continued pressure. Plant is coming through. It is difficult to play here, but Taps on such a good lurk is able to take out Spook, and now the player spotted out by the Owl drone. Coke knows there's still gotta be 1 or 2 there, but they fall.
these Honey Boo Boos are getting the picks that they need, and they just can't be stopped here as the attackers take yet another round pretty decisively there. Sure, they have the firepower to do it, but they're just able to swarm and get the picks. You would not have, Eddie, if you told me this team didn't play together a day in their life before this event, I would not have believed you. This crew is doing so well, and Prestige really coming through here. You know, game one with this Honey Boo Boo team, not a player we really talked about, but taking over on this Icebox match, they're doing so well for this Honey Boo Boo squad.
Especially considering playing that Sage. This champion is really starting to showcase their talents. Prestige so strong, even on a Sentinel. Now I see a couple of picks already going towards the other side, though. Defenders looking pretty solid. Let's see what the Digital Learning School is able to do here.
Here.
Yeah, being up 2 agents like this before real play has been made onto sites gotta be pretty good for INDLS. You know, as they're able to sort of reposition and reassess what Honey Boo Boos might be doing. And you can see on that mini-map, Eddie, that, you know, INDLS has a pretty good idea of where this team is, as they've pretty much surrounded all exits of escape, as Lighto is going to take down Vapor and Tabs take down Prestige. You know, this team positioned so well for this event. Kinetic trying to take things back, but unable to, as INDLS takes this round. And what a good defensive setup and rotation there to sort of surround that entire point and really make Honey Boo Boos have to do something, move somewhere. And it was just too late at that point, because anywhere they went was right into the enemy sight lines.
Exactly, going 10-8. Definitely difficult. We'll see how they decide to play going into this next round. I mean, you're sitting with some pretty solid guns, but you have to be wary because now Coke has that operator, and it has proved to be really dominant.
Coke has done very well with the op. It's going to be interesting to see how they're able to do here. They're going to have to rely big time on it, especially, you know, as they look to still get back into this game. And Honey Boo Boo is really liking this B push. As they're looking to get, I guess, more of a default, but looking to establish some control onto B site here, as Memphi looking to draw some fire, get some information, maybe some utility, figure out who might be here, who might be trying to lock down this site, as the rest of the Honey Boo Boos sort of inch their way onto A site. It might have fooled INDLS a little bit, because they're leaving A site a little bit overexposed, as now another full rotation comes in. It's like we need some Benny Hill music, as both teams kind of scrambling around the map here to get some footing on either of these sites.
Really trying to find a solid angle here.
Welcome to my
Such
world.
awkward angles. However, the attackers are going to put the Viper Spit down on A. And you see the Sage running onto site as
30
fast as
seconds
possible, but not without a couple of trades. Oh my goodness, the attackers are starting to fall one by one.
One enemy remaining.
And there we see only Memphi left, and the defuse is going to come through. There's no way you can get there in time, and that is awkward. I mean, especially because you definitely expected Memphi to be trying to catch rotates, and so as soon as all of your players on site die, Memphi's caught in an awkward position where they have to rotate as fast as possible, and it's really just not going to happen.
Yeah, it was tough. I like the idea at the start, you know, maybe convince INDLS that you're going for that B push and open up A, and it did seem to work, but it looks like they caught wind that it was just a bluff, and then suddenly you have your Reyna on an island as the rest of your attacking crew is just unable to really get any headway on A site, leaving them kind of in a spot where they're not able to contribute, because, you know, that Memphi, again, getting to that A site kind of late there, really wasn't able to contribute, as Taps picks up another one here for INDLS on this defense. Not what you wanted if you're the Honey Boo Boos. Definitely kind of wanted to get a little bit more clearance here, as it does look like they are going to be strong on this B site. Yeah, Armstrong boys going down there to Memphi to even things up. Kinetic picking up 2 as Prestige on the Sage is able to get the plant down. Things not looking good for INDLS after a decent,
One
strong
enemy
start.
remaining.
Memphi taking out a second. Things are kind of unraveling here for INDLS on this defense. Looks like, yep, Prestige is going to help the attackers pick up that 11th round, and suddenly they're 2 away from closing this out.
Exactly, being 2 away, but also INDLS are 2 away from closing that gap. So it's really up to them to try and make a bit of a desperate leap here. They're gonna have to go for something. I'm honestly interested to see if they decide to go for maybe aggression here. It looks like Coke wants to take these aggressive plays near B. Potentially may turn that into a full rotate. Does actually teleport all the way back. Not going to try and make a play there after spotting Arena, who is going to rotate towards mid. Potentially a fight between Reyna's and mid, and Taps is the one who wins.
And that's where Taps is just so good. You know, getting those cheeky angles, those aggressive angles, and just letting their skill, you know, with their mechanics in game kind of do all of the talking. Because time after time, we've seen Taps just pick up these early picks. Really helps INDLS sort of get into the driver's seat, you know, on each of these rounds, regardless of who they're playing. We are going to see the Hunter's Fury come out here from the attackers. The Hunter Boo Boo squad going to lay down some utility here, and that's not going to be enough. As Lighthouse taking out Sage, who's carrying that spike, and suddenly INDLS knows where they need to be. They know where all of the attackers are going to have to come, and it's just Kinetic 1v4 with 18 health. Eddie, I don't know if he's going to be able to get much done here. Might try to save if he's able.
It seems like that's what he wants to do. Left. It was a bit of an antsy play. They just moved in so quick, but without getting any of those kills. I mean, they were down 1 and they decided to keep playing towards that site, and so they're just left in an awkward spot. Not necessarily the greatest idea, but that doesn't mean
10 seconds
that
left.
The game is totally lost. We'll see what Kinetic's able to do here. Find something. Does pick up a kill onto Taps.
Hey, every kill counts here, because at the minimum, even if they don't win this, just getting that gun off that player, forcing them to spend credit is well worth it. They are able to save that operator, which is a pretty big deal. That gun's worth 5,000 credits, so being able to save that is probably a better value to this team than anything else. Of course, getting that pick late there is also extremely helpful, as the economies seem about even, maybe a slight advantage to INDLS here, but we are going to see a full loadout. 2 ops on the field in the hands of Coke and Kinetic, 2 players that have shown that what they're able to do with these rifles should be a good round, going in 11-10 as INDLS tries to claw back into this one.
See what they're able to do here. We did see an 11-11 earlier today. Some incredibly close games. Wow. Some early skirmishing. It's going to put Honey Boo Boos at the advantage. Try and find something, potentially rotating around to the B site. Looks like that's what they've decided to do. As this Viper pushes up through mid, wants to find a fight, and is going to get caught out by Armstrong boys. Like a solid pick here. Looking around, seeing if there's another one just waiting, just lurking. Not quite. The safe wall does come through, and ooh, an awkward timing is going to put Armstrong boys in the grave as Kinetic picks up another. And now a 4v2 is a tough situation to be in if you are Coke, especially with that operator. And Lighthose trying to hold on to the back of sight, but if Plant comes down, then there's not much you can really do there. It actually is down.
Shut down.
Lighthose does pick up the kill onto Kinetic before going down themselves to Spook here. So now suddenly it's just Coke versus the world. 1v3. I think they're just going to let this tick out because similar to what we saw in the last round, they just want to hang on to this op. It's a big investment to have to pay for this gun on a round-to-round basis, and you'd rather just hang on to it, give them the round, come back strong with full loadouts and a decent kit on your squad here. 12-10, game point, match point for Honey Boo Boos, looking to go 2-0 on these showcase matches. And it does look like, again, we'll see 2 ops. This time, the op will be in the hands of Kinetic. And as well as Coke again. So we're going to get to hopefully see some good op duels. I love watching 2 players kind of duke it out with those snipers as the gates do open. The Honey Boo Boos look to seal the deal, but Light Hose getting a quick headshot onto Memphi isn't going to help things for the Honey Boo Boos. We do have that Sage ult, so maybe we see a Resurrect here if they really need it and want to seal the deal. That might come out just to kind of refortify any of their hopes here. But for now, Prestige will just inch up through mid. Looks like we are going to see a B take, and we are going to see that res on
Spike down mid.
potentially canceled there as Kinetic does go down to Light Hose. It's going to be tough here. We do see the Owl Drone come out. Prestige gets Memphi up, so it will be a 4v5 before taking out Light Hose. Prestige, story of the game, in my opinion, on this Honey Boo Boos team is just really able to get a lot of value out of that Sage.
Certainly, and now Asuna trying to find a spot here. Of course, these defenders have a solid advantage,
enemy
and
remaining.
they are going to make
Spike
that
down
even
B.
bigger. Prestige, the only one left alive, is going to have to find something.
Left.
Doesn't quite spot out Armstrong Boys, who peeks. And with an awkward timing, secures another round. This is terrifying. If you are Honey Boo Boos, you want to make sure that you're finishing this round off. You don't want to go to overtime. That's a scary place to be, especially when you had the lead most of this game. So we'll see if they're able to secure that round.
I think history likes to repeat itself, Eddie, because, you know, if we remember back to the Slayers Honey Boo Boos game, final score 13-11. So they clearly like to play for the drama here. But they definitely will be trying to close this out. The last thing you want, especially when you've had a multiple round lead, is to go into overtime. I, being a fan of Chaos, would love to see that, as Coke is going to look to get some shots off here before DPing out of danger. The Honey Boo Boos haven't really decided where they might like to go, just hanging out around spawn, waiting to make a move, gather some intel. Really what you need to do is, it's so important to understand how the defense is looking to play, what utility they might use and have used, what guns they might have on the field. So taking this extra time to kind of suss that out, figure that out, is really going to help them. Again, they really want to win this. We are going to see the Reyna ultimate come out. A blind set onto A site. Not able to find much there as Memphi does take out Taps. That's going to be a big pick for the side of the Honey Boo Boos. Nah, just unable to get that kill there. Down to 29 health. Spoke too soon. They were thinking of Armstrong Boys, and it looks like Honey Boo Boos are able to close this out. 13-11, 2-0 on the day. Honey Boo Boos defeats INDLS.
And with a flawless, nonetheless, such a close game. Props to both teams who were absolutely dominating this map. I mean, I said I was excited to see Icebox, and I was not disappointed. The plays that these players employed was absolutely interesting and certainly a good time, a fun time to cast. I mean, not only that, but what a fantastic opportunity for these players to get to showcase their skills in this type of a tournament. I mean, so many college recruiters are interested in looking for these players and making sure that they're involved in their programs because, I mean, we just saw why. These players are good and they're ready to play.
Yeah, exactly. And I think that the games today that we saw, the 4 different matchups, you know, different players on different teams stood up, or I guess stepped out and kind of had the spotlight thrown on them. Different players taking up the weight at multiple times to help their team, different round advantages, and even some match wins. Again, as the Honey Boo Boos go 2-0 on the day, seemed a little unstoppable for a team that really hadn't played together before. But Eddie, like you were saying, what a great way for the up-and-coming Valorant students across the high schools here to really get their name out there through this Esports Combine. Again, another plug here, we're doing these showcase matches for the Esports Combine. All leads into the event next week in Indianapolis, where high school students around the country are going to be trying to display their skills in hopes to obtain a scholarship esports program, much like the one we're filming in. I have to do another shameless plug here for Ball State's esports program. Just like what we're doing on this campus, so many colleges across the country taking up esports and looking for good talent to add. So having these showcase matches is a great way to connect those high school students with those colleges by way of gameplay. But that's going to do it here. I saw some really, really awesome Valorant matches. I'm so excited for the future of college Valorant. I think it's going to be an amazing time. I know I have to do my work to get some recruits in here if this is the kind of talent that's coming up through the pipeline. But thank you all so much for tuning in. Again, if you have any interest in the Combine, go to combine.gg to register. It's next week in Indianapolis, so whether you're remote or in person, there are 2 ways to attend. It's going to be a lot of fun. But my name's Dan. This is Eddie for Brooke and Faith. Thank you so much for tuning in. It's been a Ball State production of the Esports Combine Showcase matches.